What is up, everyone? It is Rich and Kelsey, the two coolest people on the planet that you want to hang with on Sunday.
Hey
And what
guys, how you doing? Hold on,
super
let me
fun,
find someplace to put this book.
super fun Sunday.
Oh, jeez.
All together, we're sharing the moment. This is going to be fun. I actually said on Twitter, we have some unique. Do we have some unique things that we can share that other people don't have? Do you remember what I have? Hold on, I'll hold it up just briefly.
I hope it's not bad.
Hold on. You remember what these are?
Oh yeah.
And that piece. Remember the piece that I showed you?
Yeah.
So we'll give people a few seconds to file in.
So while this is going on, let me ask you, because I don't. I've watched your show from the beginning, and Super Fun Sunday would come up.
Right.
Which I'm very happy to be a part of this time live, a special, super fun Sunday.
It's extra super fun.
So I was curious, what is it in your deciding for a super fun Sunday? What is your criteria for making it a super fun Sunday pick?
So that's actually a really good question. So I like something that I always keep in mind. Hold on, we're getting echo.
Is that me?
It could be.
Oh yeah. Hold on. Let me figure out.
No worries.
I'm boomering it up. This has to be me. Let me turn this part off.
Go ahead, Hunter. You're more than welcome. Or Steven, you're more than welcome to plug your Instagram. It's fine. I don't look. I was gonna say this too. We're here today to talk about Jim Lee X-Men art. I have never had mods on any of my chats. I don't block people anywhere. But yeah, just everyone be cool. We're here to talk about X-Men and the art, and let's not go off on some weird tangents. But yeah, by all means, if you need something that you want to plug of your own in the comments, by all means, feel free to plug whatever it is.
Yeah.
There's originally when I started doing Super Fun Sunday, it was a thing called Open That Book. And
oh yeah.
I'm notorious for buying books and not looking at them. It's a really bad habit I have. I have brand new books literally on the shelf that I've never opened, and I know people probably want to kick my ass for that kind of.
I do the same thing. I wonder if that's just a thing. Like I got that book and I got to get back to work, and then I'll look at it at some point, and then you just never end up getting to it.
Well, you're super excited to order it. Like if you had it that minute, you'd be tearing through it and like looking at it. But if I wait a month or two, it may come, like you said, at a time where I'm not relaxed. I'm very, very busy. And I just go, I want a moment to really be with this book and enjoy it and not just sort of squeeze it in 3 minutes before that. So with those, what I would initially try to do was pick something that I hadn't done before as I was doing some of them. Also, I was very uncomfortable with doing people that I knew. Because the thing is I was always, and when I know a lot of people, that's the problem. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it's like I was very uncomfortable about doing spotlights on friends of mine or acquaintances that I consider everyone my friend. If I've met you,
you're Richard friend.
Right, it is kind of weird, but I feel that way. It's like I don't really like fans, professionals. It's like if I know you and if I met you, or even if I know you online, you're my friend. I consider you my friend. So that was uncomfortable. So I would kind of pick around people that I didn't know, and even for a point in time, there was actually a point where I kind of was more comfortable doing dead people. Just it was like you knew that it's like, well, they're not gonna go, hey bitch, you're misrepresenting my art or something like that. But once I started doing it, and also I think once I had more followers, I got more comfortable looking at it as in a weird way. And this is a very self-serving theory that I have, but it does that. You hear people say this all the time. I'm promoting your stuff by showing it for free. I mean, it's a thin line you're walking with it, because some people might go, dude, I'm trying to sell that book. Don't show it for free online. You know what I mean? So I try to be very respectful for that. But at this point, honestly,
largely like great works of the past, things that people you don't know, special one-offs, these things that make it a special thing, and therefore, good fodder for super fun Sunday material.
Well, it started to encourage me too, because for 1000%, I've had so many people tell me that they've bought books based on videos that I've done. And to me, then I do actually feel like I am really playing it forward, and I am actually selling product for people. So, I think of YouTube as just a fun thing, and I'm just here to hang like everyone else. So I don't have any big calculated sort of maneuvers I do here, to be blatantly honest.
Well, this being kind of a special occasion, at least for me. Like I found out this book was coming out like 2 years ago, and I highly consider my purchases now, especially when it's a book that's over $100.
Yeah,
that's a lot, and I have very limited space, especially for a giant library edition. But I really considered it, and I was like, this is such a landmark.
It is.
Time period and artists, several artists, that is kind of partially responsible for me even sitting here being a comic guy today.
Sure.
So when I found out that they were going to be putting this out, I mean, honestly, if it were an artist edition of Silvestri's Wolverine, or it would be as special. But Jim, of course, is one of the granddaddies. And look at a couple of nerds with our books.
I know, nerd time.
But then I've been telling everybody about it, and I told Rich, and Rich, it was
1000%. Your enthusiasm for this book is what got me to pull the trigger on it. I think I would have eventually got it, but it wasn't it wasn't fast tracked for me. When I talked to you, I ordered it that same day.
Yeah, I know. You were an easy sell, man. Yeah. Probably the easier one, because I told the Jim Rugg, I just texted him on the Instagram, it's like, hey, check this out. And I hit up pretty much everybody I knew. I was like, X-Men,
like Kelsey sold one copy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, you were like so excited about it, about the possibility of, I had never seen. This is the first time for me seeing this stuff in this scale. Is this actual size?
Yeah. They're always actual size. So like if you get the I know you said you only have one other artist edition. I have more. Like just to show you the difference.
Yeah, I have the Daredevil Born Again. By the way, that's one of them prized possessions. Look at this.
This Sin City book is fucking gigantic. I'm not even exaggerating. This thing is huge. It like literally is a coffee table. But watch when I put the Jim Lee book up next to it, so you can see the size difference.
Oh wow! Did he draw it at that size?
Yeah, so that's the thing, and like this is done by a different company. This is Graffiti, and then this is IDW. IDW does the same thing. If Jack Kirby worked 2 feet by 3 feet, the book is going to be 2 feet by 3 feet.
Yeah, wow.
You know what I mean? So like I have a Kirby book from IDW that's probably about the same size as this Frank Miller one. The pieces are huge.
Wait a minute. So those don't they have artist editions of Prince Valiant?
Yes, they do.
Those things are like 22 by 30 something. I mean, they're enormous.
That stuff down a little bit. My cat wants out. Okay. Let me cut her out really fast.
I didn't realize how big those were until I was looking it up online, and there was a photo of someone next to a page of Prince Valiant, and it was almost as tall as they were.
Right.
It was crazy. But you could see that it was cut so that he worked on like the top part of the panels are on one whole page.
Yeah.
And then another. So there was no paper that big, I guess.
So maybe with the Prince Valiant book, they scaled it down a little bit. There was a company that did really, really beautiful reproductions of Little Nemo in Slumberland a couple years ago. I was walking through Comic-Con and they were promoting it, and I really wish that I would have got it. It was a very expensive book, though. Look, and I tell people this too, because it's like I don't want people to think I'm like flexing when I show the books. I generally can only afford 1 or 2 of these a year, but I've been collecting them for like 10 or 15 years now.
Oh yeah.
So it looks like I have a lot, but I've never gone like, oh, I'm going to buy like 6 artist editions this year. I can't afford it. So
if I had never, I've gotten rid of my stuff like on several different occasions in my life. My collection would probably be as big as yours if I didn't get rid of stuff, but mostly like long boxes of comics. Books, though, it's kind of hard to. I got tons of books I don't even really read or want anymore, and I just can't bear to get rid of them.
I told Scott Doombier and also Greg, who worked at IDW. I literally the artist edition books have actually ruined normal comic books for me. They've ruined black and white photocopies for me. Like, I look at anything else and I'm like, I can't look at it like this. I need to see it gigantic, and I need to see just the art. Like, so
hey, I can't wait for the Super Fun Sunday when they release the artist edition of Wildcats by Travis Ray and Richard Friend.
I know, right?
We're gonna be here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, to like look at every line that you did.
I would probably be the only person that could help them do that. To be honest, I don't know. I don't think anyone else could.
Talk about something like made to make $1 million. That book would sell like hotcakes. I would buy it in a hot second.
I don't think we get a cut, though.
Oh, well, hey, IDW will make $1 million.
They'd send me a copy of it. No, I don't know. But
hopefully they're listening. Get out there and make that book. I want to see it.
I think people that work on the book, and look, here's the deal too. I want to be very respectful, but every single person that worked on the project, including the people that were donating the art, everybody needs a shout out. I can't run through the whole list of everyone that donated art, but I definitely would like to credit like R.T. Bear, Scott Doombier, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, Dan Green, all of those guys, Wills, they all stepped up, and the art in it is so freaking good. And it's interesting too, because look, for me, when I started collecting comics, and don't worry, we're going to look at a ton of art, so don't think that we're just rambling and it's not going to be heavily art focused. I've got a ton of video of the book, and also still photos, and we've got all kinds of good surprises. But
here, I'm going to christen it with the smell of some fine Turkish tobacco.
But when I first started collecting comic books, I didn't know the whole what would you call it, like the lineage of where styles came from. I was just like buying comics at a comic book store. So to me, initially being exposed to Jim Lee's art, I didn't realize that he was kind of the guy that really got his particular look going. I know his look wasn't created like in a lab.
Oh no, there's like Carl Potts in there, Gil Kane, John Byrne. Now I was more educated. I could see a lot of this stuff.
Kevin Nolan. I see
Kevin Nolan.
But Kevin Nolan really actually made his stuff great.
I was kind of hoping they would have that issue in here too, because there's one where Kevin Nolan actually inked the cover of X-Men. It's a book that all the guys helped on, even John Byrne and Wilson and Silvestri, and even Larry Stroman was in that one. But yeah, it had a great Kevin Nolan inked cover. I was hoping we'd be in here.
The other thing too, I want to tell people that honestly, as much art as we're going to show today, you're not even going to see probably 1/3 of the book. And there's so when I was trying to shoot it, it was actually overwhelming. There was so much good art. Like, I was like, I don't even know. I don't know how to separate what the hell I'm even going to show. It was very, very difficult to get it together.
Yeah, I was hoping you had like a camera where you can kind of flip through it, but
I did. I took footage. We're going to watch the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So let's start looking at the art, because we'll have a bunch of side conversations anyway. So the first thing I wanted to show is actually sort of it ties in with the book, but not really. So, but this is probably the only time that I could show this piece where it actually has any sort of relevance. So, as most of you know, I worked at Wildstorm, and when I worked at Wildstorm, I didn't know Jim when I first started working though. So for probably the first 2 years that I worked there, Jim was taking sort of a sabbatical. And he would come into the office occasionally, but again, I was only an inker or two, and I was just kind of coming up, so I didn't really know Jim. But by 2005, we had become friends, and I had known him for a few years, and his birthday was coming up, and I wanted to get him something, but I really couldn't think of what to get him. So I had this idea one day sitting there working, and I asked Jim, I said, if there was a piece of art that you could get back that you don't own, what would it be? And he said that he wanted this cover.
Oh, which is funny that it's the cover
This is the cover. So
of the book. Yeah.
here's the piece of art that he said that he, of all the pieces that he didn't own, that he wished that he still had this piece.
Well, and
And
he told a story that this sold for a monumental amount of money, right?
so Scott Williams sold it in 1980, somewhere probably in the late 80s, for about $650, which was a killing at the time. It was a ton of money. It just recently sold for over $300,000. I want to say 360, but I don't remember the exact amount. But anyway, so what I did is I actually did a recreation for that piece for Jim as a gift, a surprise gift. And for people that follow him on Twitch, he actually has shown it, and he has it framed, hanging in his office in his home studio, or at least he did at one point. So let me share the screen. Oh, hold on, I got to open Photoshop and get it open real quick. But I'll show you. This is a recreation that I did for Jim, all hand drawn. I used wash instead of EDITON. I hand lettered the X-Men logo, and I think he really likes it. So it's neat that he did actually enjoy the piece. So let me see here.
He showed it to me, and he was like, "What? What about this doesn't make sense," or something like that. And I'm looking at him like, "Your name's on it." I'm like, "Did you work on that? Because that's before your time, right?"
Yeah.
How did you do that? I was like, "Is Richard a time traveler?"
So here's the piece. I can't see the screen now, so I'm going to show it. But this is a color photocopy of it. This isn't a scan of it. Unfortunately, at the time, I didn't have an 11x17 scanner. So this is the 8.5x11 color photocopy. So it's a little yellowed, but this is the piece that I did for him.
I mean, he even mimicked Scott's inking. I mean,
yeah, I penciled the whole thing as tight as I possibly could to get everything in. And then
well, you added the EDITON too. Nice touch.
That's wash. That's actually hand done.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so smooth.
Yeah.
Well done.
I'm super anal, like all about that ass. I like
yeah, you can see.
But anyway, it was, like I said, it was really the only time that I ever was like, I felt like it's an appropriate moment to share that piece. So now what we're going to
earned a lot of brownie points with that one.
I'm happy that Jim enjoys it. You know, like that's very cool to me. So let's stop sharing this for 1 second. Now, let me show these really fast as we get into the book. So and this is the unique stuff that I have that no one else will have when they do these book reviews, is about 10 to 12 years ago on eBay, Joe Rosas, the colorist of X-Men, was selling complete color guides for the X-Men issues, but the only ones that he had were issues 2 and 3. So I actually own the full color guides. These are original hand-done color guides of issue 2 and issue 3 of X-Men. So let me show you a couple of these really quick, because we're going to see these pages in black and white.
These are so great.
This is some really cool stuff. Very, what would you call it? Historic color guides. So this is hand done by Joe Rosas. Let me get
yeah, go up a little bit. Oh yeah. Yeah, man, I love that look so much that like I would read comics today.
Chauncey's right. Now I am flexing. No.
I would look at a comic today that was hand colored like this. I just love that look.
I couldn't believe that these were for sale. To me, like in terms of like a weird collectible that you just like, when are you ever going to get an opportunity to buy the color guides to probably one of the most famous series ever, and low issues too?
Oh, look at that double pager. That's so great.
Isn't this crazy?
It's so vibrant. I mean, it's even almost more vibrant than the computer coloring.
And it's got all of his notes. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to go this way. Oh, there it goes. Now it's focused.
Yeah, you should go full screen on this.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So, do I just click on me, like the icon all the way to the left?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at that. It's like a gloss to it too.
There's a little bit of tape right in the middle. I think.
Oh, okay.
Thread together. Or I don't know. Let me see if it's on the front really quick. Yeah, there's a little bit of clear tape on the front. It hasn't yellowed at all.
You were showing me these earlier, and I was wondering why they used marker. And I kind of answered my question, even asking the question. I think it's because it's a quick way to get closest to the code of the color that they have to use. Whereas if you used watercolor, it'd probably be too much of a variation. What?
Oh, sorry. I was just saying, I'm going to show more. I just want to put them away because I don't want to get them wet or anything.
Okay.
I've got coffee sitting right here. Yeah, these were done probably with Prismacolor pens. I don't know that for a fact, though. I'm only guessing, to be honest. So I don't want to say that that's a fact.
I mean, in the old days, this stuff is just thrown away. So I'm really happy that he saved these, and now you can like save them. And then when you die, I'll come and steal them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was a really, like, it was so random. I like, this isn't like anything that I would ever look for. I just happened to be on eBay and I saw him and I was like, what the hell? I'm like, he's selling the full books, not just like a page, like, a single page of color guides. It was the full issues. I was like, I'm going to buy these no matter what they cost. And they were cheap too. I think I ended up getting them for maybe like $80 a piece, something like that. Yeah. I'll show one more, and then we'll get to the black and white book.
That's a water bill for me.
Yeah, right?
Wow.
So anyway, I thought that you guys would get a kick out of that. I've done a video on these. So if you want to see more of the color guides, I actually have a video where I did a full flip through of them. Yeah, it was a steal. I don't even know what these would be worth now, but quite a bit more for sure. So anyway, but
yeah, okay. those are definitely special. Like people should save this stuff. I save stuff, even terrible sketches, because somebody down the line is going to be like, "Oh, look, he sucked too."
The weird thing about that too is that every single artist out there right now, people watching this video that aren't pros yet, we all freaking know that the art is going to appreciate in value, and someday it's going to be worth a lot of money, and we all still sell it for stupid low prices when we need cash or something like that. And like right now there's someone that probably inked a page of Jim Lee, in 1980, maybe an inker that's not in this book, going like, man, that page would be worth like 60 grand now.
Yeah. I mean, there's Todd saved all his pages, right? Like he didn't sell any of them.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for that. When I went to Antarctic Press, Ben Dunn was working in-house still, and he had probably 10 years of comic work before I ever got there, and he had stacks and stacks of what was it, Captain Harlock, that he did the American sort of adaptation of. And it was the first time I'd seen a box full of pages, like several issues worth of pages, and it was astonishing, and I was so jealous. I'm like, I want that stack. Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, I shot probably about 30 to 40 minutes worth of video, and then I have some still photos. But let's start the video, and we can pause it on little spots, and we start at the front end of the book, and we kind of start to move forward. We're going to look at some of those early Madripoor issue pages that are absolutely stunners. Oh my God. The evolution of the art too, and the different inking styles, it's all so interesting. So, all right, settle in, everyone. What's Super Fun Sunday? It's super fun.
It's super fun.
All right. So here, I got to share my screen again. And now I'm going to do...
So they only got 3. They got a double pager and one page that Dan Green inked. That's it? Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure. So you can look at the credits. So here, I'm going to start the video. And I can't see the chat right now. I'm going to grab my phone so I have it open. But here we go, folks. So yeah, this is...
I am up early.
You can actually see how cut up the cover is, like the paste up of the logo. Some of that might be the IDW dress to kind of create the moment.
I don't know.
Let's see when we get to the top. I think there's, man, that is so cool. But look at that zip. EDITON. Oh my God. And look, a little bit of white right there on the piece. These beautiful fine.
I love the way Scott uses zip, because he uses it so sparingly and just as a tiny,
Yeah.
tiny accent, like his belt there, you know.
Yeah. His calligraphy is so beautiful. Like I swear, I've been inking for 25 years. I wrote Scott a little email yesterday and I said, I've been around comics for 25 years. And I look at the stuff that you did and I still don't understand it. And like, I've done stuff that probably people go, I don't know how you did that. I swear, I look at this stuff and I'm like, how do humans create such badass stuff?
You know what it is? I look at this stuff now, and it's like you could see the speed in it, and it's almost like
Right.
this is his handwriting. You
Right.
know, we're seeing his handwriting style, because he just goes through it
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
fast. There is some inking videos of him
Yeah.
uh, just knocking it out.
These little lines on like the faces and stuff are so small. I have photos where you can see I put a pencil next to the pages so you can see how fine this stuff is. All
Yeah, I did that too, because like when you're confronted with the book itself, you know, it's so enormous. You kind of like, God, this is so big.
I
Is
love
this
the
how big
rendering.
it is?
I love the
But then,
rendering right here on her calf.
but then you get down to that level, and you see, oh, these are just tiny little, you know, just little
Yeah,
tick marks, and they're so straight.
yeah. Let me pause this real quick. Her butt was great too. Well, I mean, I love how they light like the ass area. Like you know, you drawing
Yeah.
drawing asses and lighting them can be a little tricky. It's like I had to draw a lot of pants.
Well,
Like you don't practice that as much.
well, see, I'd seen Jim's stuff before Keown. So, and he was doing that dual lighting, which mesmerized me. I'm like, how do you do that? You know?
Yeah. And my goal is to actually have Scott Doombeer and Scott Williams on a show where we talk about this book and then maybe other artist editions as well. So
Yeah, that'd be fun.
they sounded like they were into it, so that'll be really neat. And I would love to have Art T. Bear honestly on, and he
Yeah.
could talk about his experiences with it too. I know he did a video though already.
He'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to pause on this hand. Look at all the rendering.
I'll give him a noogie if he doesn't.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
really
so. It's a man. You know, it's not. Every one of those lines is creating like volume. And
I know. It's crazy. I don't know how they figured out how to do this. It doesn't compute in my brain.
You gotta wonder, because like I followed these guys. Like I went back, you know, like you did, even to Alpha Flight. But I started seeing the modern Jim
Like
kind of appear in the Punisher stuff when he was working with like Carl Potts.
Yeah.
And you could start seeing some of this stuff forming, and then he starts inking himself. But then he takes these little pieces with him, and he even says in the foreword of this book, I think, where maybe it's Scott talking about how like he'll do a line, and then Jim will start mimicking that.
Oh, right.
Integrating that into his style. So Jim's style is really the amalgam of a lot of his own interests with the artists around him. It's really great.
This is just the gatefold when you open the book.
Yeah, it's huge.
I choose you. Well, thank you. I swear, like when you get an artist edition book, I know you don't have a ton of them, but I find myself only wanting to look at part of the book at a time and kind of like having a lot of surprises like over a period of weeks.
Yeah, I flipped through it. Like you were asking me to take shots of some of my favorite stuff, and I only took a few photos, but I know I'll go back.
You could get a sense of the scale.
What?
I put the pencil on the page so that you get a sense of how big this is right here.
This is blown up though, right?
No, I know.
Oh, okay.
Just for a sense of scale of the book.
Yeah. Yeah, the book's enormous.
And there's some white paint. You can see the lines underneath it.
I'll tell you something else that really blew my mind was how little white he used.
Yeah.
And then how much less he uses as they continue.
Right.
Like toward the end of the book, there's almost none.
I never use whiteout. Very rarely. I use it more as an effect than actually for mistakes or overthrown lines. Although I will say that as I've gotten further in my career, I'm not as concerned about overthrowing lines as I used to be, because I would rather have the integrity of the line intact than try to stop short to not overthrow it, if that makes sense. Like outside a panel border, I used to hate having like any white there. Look at the ink there. Yeah, it's so good.
A lot of us still use these techniques, the dot, where you go from the bloop, Tibert really perfected that stuff, that little bloop.
I love these shapes too. You're going to see that a lot on the ninjas, but these black shapes that they use with these little sort of folds and creases, oh my God, it's just so cool looking.
I still use that stuff. I stole it. I'm still using it.
Look at the rendering on the knee. This is so actually for people that are learning through my Patreon and stuff like this is a really good example of like, if you're trying to learn to draw, this is going to make no sense to you. You're going to look at this. If you try to mimic this and understand anatomy based on these suggestions of it, it's too abstract. It's just
the thing is that he draws some of the best knees in the business.
I know. So that's the thing. It is actually all there. His hands are really good too. I was noticing how good he drew fingers and knuckles and stuff like that. Man, he was on point. But this is fairly accurate suggestions of this stuff. But yeah, it's very, very difficult to memorize this and then utilize it.
But I was actually going to bring this up of why, about the enduring sort of popularity of these styles that are all have very similar aspects to them. And I was looking at it and thinking, well, it's because you can kind of make out the construction of it.
Right.
And in these early days, he's still much more detailed in his like rendering. Whereas I think as it goes on, it simplifies.
So this is all the people that donated art. And I know a few of these people definitely have multiple pieces because I recognize the names and kind of know that there's a few guys in particular that have a lot. One thing that
Albert Moy.
Albert.
No.
Yeah. It's real interesting. But these guys are all treasure owners at this point.
Wow.
They own some very, very valuable art. I was stoked to see John Livesey, his name in there. I thought that was very, very cool.
Man, so great that they lent the art out for this edition. Man.
Ryan Along is a fan that I've met years ago. So here's some of the credits I wanted to show. So Dan Greening, some stuff. We've got Scott Williams. Art Tibert shows up. Of course, Jim is in the book. But credit to all these people that made some very kick-ass stuff. So
another thing is that the credits don't make out, but I watched Jim Lee's video where he was going through it, and it was amazing how hodgepodge these books are, because he was like, I inked this panel, I inked this face, Wills drew this panel.
So on this, we've got Scott Williams, Art Tibert, Bob Wycheck, and Joseph Rubinstein. That's the issue 5 pages.
Yeah. God, that'd be interesting. Look at those. Issue 5.
Yeah.
Which is issue 5?
Dan Panosian and Carl Alstetter were on that the very last stuff. It's funny. I'll tell you what. For years, I could never remember if Dan Panosian was a penciler or an inker. Now he's cemented in my head what he is.
He's an artist now. But yeah, I always knew him as the inker. He had the biggest, boldest lines back in the day.
So I'm not tripping on that. I swear, I swear that guy was an inker. But okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I was always confused by that.
Wait, issue 5? I'm not like on 256. What issue 5? The new X-Men.
It looked like Panosian worked on the and Carl worked on the very last sequential stuff. So here we go. We're getting into the Dan Green. This is some very, very cool shit. This isn't Dan Green here. This is a little jump ahead to the.
That's one of my saved pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dan Green stuff is very interesting because it's so organic.
I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it's very different.
Look at these lines right here. How waggly they are. It's like water.
Oh man, so good, drippy
Pro.
ink.
Yeah. I told Scott. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, when you get to the Dan Green stuff.
Okay. I told Scott yesterday in an email. I said that I think that this book in particular is going to influence a brand new generation of artists that will be influenced by this. I really do believe that. I think that this book is going to be like everyone's going to own this. I think this book will crush it.
I hope it does, because there's still so much amazing interest in the style that they've created.
Look at that!
It's so exciting to look at, even to this day. There's so much energy in Dan Green's inking too.
Yeah, well, I love this upshot on Wolverine's face, man. It's so good. But yeah, this inking is just wild.
One of the pages I sent you specifically is a shot of Wolverine's face like that because of that shot. He's so good at doing those up angles.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult angle to do of the face. And he does it all the time, like a champ.
This spread was interesting to me because I actually felt like the inks got a little stiffer. So I don't know if the deadline was affecting things, but it almost has a different characteristic than the splash page did, or the page that was right before this.
I mean, when you're faced with the scale of this double pager, I mean, you look at the size of the line and you're like, he just grabbed a brush and just.
Yeah. You never know the deadline circumstances too, I always say.
It's all brush, it looks like, except for a little bit of this gun. Maybe that's brush too.
It's crazy to think too at this point, and it's interesting too. A few pages in, Jim actually writes Homage Studios on one of the gutters, but this is like this would have been in like the late 80s. But imagine this. So Jim draws this wherever he lives. I know Jim was, I think, originally from St. Louis.
Really?
I think he's originally from St. Louis, and then they were in New York, and then they were in like San Diego. But it's crazy. So this was actually mailed to Dan Green, inked there, and then mailed to Marvel to be scanned.
Oh wow!
Isn't that weird? Old school.
Yeah, that's how I used to do. I used to like have the UPS guy and the FedEx guy waiting at the door while I finished inking pages. I'm like, please don't leave, and I box it up, and that was how it was.
Yeah, so crazy. How's the chat going? People just speechless?
I'm staring at the work too. Sorry, everybody. I hope you're enjoying this.
It's so good. These are such good. These 3 issues are so badass.
Dan Green is an underrated inker amongst the populace, but amongst inner circles, he's king. I mean, he's so good. Especially that stuff with Silvestri is some of my favorite of all time.
Seeing this made me go like, dude, they need to do a Mark Silvestri, like something from his Marvel days, early Marvel days. Wolverine, I don't care what. A combination of the two, I'll take whatever.
Yeah, I mean, X-Men sells, but come on, Wolverine's hugely popular. I'd love to see that stuff.
They could do an artifact edition where it's just anything that they could get.
This there, pause that. That's some of the stuff that used to trip my brain. And it's just dry brushing.
It's crazy.
It's done to perfection.
This is smooth board, but it's smooth board with a little tiny bit of tooth on it, and that definitely helps. It's funny is I'm actually going to experiment with board here over the next few weeks for Blaster Kid. I was actually going to talk to the Eon Vortex guy and discuss paper and supplies and stuff like that because I want to try some new stuff. But look, the thing is as artists today, we deal with a lack of great paper. The paper back then, they didn't have as many environmental restrictions on how paper was created. And this is like the real deal. This is real Bristol board that's like, not rag paper that they can't use a certain chemical on. And so this stuff was bulletproof.
Wow. Jay Ayala says, just checked Amazon, out of stock, but you can still order it at $135.
Someone that they got an order in on Amazon yesterday, I believe, and that the expectation for it was next year. 2022 was when it was going to be delivered.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Danny Cruz says he'd love to see an artist edition of Will's Portasio's X Factor. That's another stuff, man.
Sure, 1000%. So this is and like so you have this beautiful dry brush effect on the fist here. These inks here look very, very solid. Like you've got a really beautiful, like strong and clear silhouette around the fist. And then look at these brush strokes that he did for the hair right here. They're beautiful.
That's fast stuff right there. You get those but you have a really good brush. I remember working with a great brush that it's like, man, it didn't matter how I'd fling it. It created a beautiful line like that. And it takes, sometimes it's hard to find that brush, you know?
Yeah. And then I love this too. The lines were never cleaned up right here. He did throw a little bit of white through this hair right here, but didn't feel the need to actually clean up this. So the fact that he had white out, did this, and then never went and did this, I like that. I think that all of this stuff adds character to the art. It's very, very interesting. Let's keep rolling. We've got so much footage.
What's interesting is how our generation, actually you're a bit ahead of me, but like we look at this stuff and it looked like perfection. And then we try to do our version of it and we obsess over those.
Oh, this is the oh my God.
And what you were just showing where there was no obsession there. He left that rough, you know.
Look at the inks on this ninja. It is the coolest thing that I've ever seen.
Now I wonder how Jim penciled that, or is that largely he threw some things in there and then Scott just kind of left the white out?
I'm not sure if this is Scott or Dan Green. It may be Scott Williams on this. I don't know if we've switched issues.
Yeah, this is Dan only did those first three.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Scott has a very stylish like brush line. So you know, he added a lot to this, you know.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it's like listening to a band and then they have like a different singer or guitar player and it's like a whole other flavor. And you experience that when these guys use different inkers and you're like, either wow or I don't know, you know, like it's a harmony that's created and these guys just sung so sweetly.
You can start to see the Kevin Nolan in the faces. Starting to creep in.
I love this time period too because there's very little bit. There's not a lot of line work defining the shapes of the face, and I like that. It's clean.
You know, and one thing I kind of liked about this work too is it's a little bit inconsistent with the types. You know, like when you see Jubilee, sometimes on pages she looks a little different, and it's a little floaty. But there's something kind of interesting about that floatiness that I sort of enjoyed. This is great, man. God. Homage Studio was such a perfect name for their studio because Jim, look, and that's very Kevin Nolan too.
Had that little face right there. It's totally out of what is it? The Something's Daughter, or what was that old?
Grimwood's Daughter.
Grimwood's Daughter looks right out of that. That was a game changer for me.
Yeah, Outsiders Annual, the Man Bad stuff.
Oh yeah.
So great. But yeah, like Jim was able to assimilate these styles into his work. Just like, man, it was like he was creating like this art milkshake that was just insane.
Now you're about to go into my absolute favorite when he starts this stuff. 267, man, when he's playing with Wills.
A lot of this is Wills. I mean, you could definitely and this looks right out of like Wetworks or something.
See, what I love about it is that Jim is so he's an excellent draftsman. So his proportions, his anatomy, and everything is generally spot on or close. And Wills has this magic flair in his rendering. The hair is extra cool. You know, the lighting is extra lighting. You know, it's just like wow. And together with Scott and all of them together, it just makes this magic happen. It blows my mind.
I know, and there's like, I mean, you can see that a lot of this is not a lot of it, but some of it is marker. I don't want to over exaggerate it, but there's definitely marker on this stuff. But it really looks great. You know, I mean, it didn't age, perfectly. But dude,
well, Jim was saying that the marker stuff was him. That's it. All the faded stuff is him with his markers.
Right. Dude, the way that they draw Gambit in these pages is like the coolest thing that I've ever like. Gambit took on like a whole new meaning for me. Yesterday looking at this stuff, I was like, I think Gambit might be my favorite X-Men.
Well, somebody was asking that. I don't remember where the conversation came up, and I said it might be Gambit, and that's because of their rendition of him. Is so cool, and that hair, I mimicked that hair like constantly. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand why it was puffing out and going out in weird directions, but I would try that.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's keep rolling. These are so good. Look at that, dude. Gambit looks so cool.
Well, and those eyes on the girl too. That's another thing that stood out to me. Is I was like, oh, it's like Disney. It's like anime. The bigger eyes did something. I was like, I love the expressiveness of that. But I also love how he does the slit, the beady eyes, and when he's trying to be cool with the characters.
Yeah. God, amazing. Okay, let's keep going.
Keep going.
The video is good, huh? It works out nice. You get super, super tight shots.
Yeah.
This ain't no Dr. Tony show no more. For 2021, Kelsey and Rich are becoming legit. Oh, I love the way that they did this plane. It's totally like man, it looks so loose, and it's done in like probably like a micron-ish type pen.
This is Jim again in the video. He said that's just him with his marker.
Right though. So
I wonder if he just did it straight pen or if he drew it out first.
He might have sketched just the rough shape of it.
Yeah.
Just like knocked in the cylinder.
Yeah, it's so faded, but I love seeing that.
Yeah, me too.
I'm wondering if the inks aren't very black in this whole book, and it makes me wonder: are the originals this faded?
They try to capture the look of the original art. So if the original art, it's not necessarily faded. All it means is that sometimes, depending on the finish of the paper, the ink will actually kind of soak underneath the paper, and then the fibers of the paper sit above it. So you get sort of like not is opaque black. It looks a little more translucent. And what I do to avert that is I actually use very old ink that's so
gummy.
Yeah, it sits on top of the paper, and then you get jet blacks.
See, I love adding a little water to it because it flows really, really smooth on the right paper, but you lose a lot of that sharpness.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. It's just a junk,
Oh, look at that pose. God, man, so kick-ass.
How fast the feet are. Like, if you look at some of my rendering, it still looks like how that foot is done. To this day, that looks like something I would do, probably because of this issue.
Crazy.
I stole so much from this book.
It's so good, man. There's so much to learn from these pages. Jesus.
And it was done so fast. What did they say? They had like 2 weeks.
Oh, right. They're like, hey, do you want to do a book in 2 weeks? And he's like, yeah, let's go for it. This is interesting. So this is like, I don't know if it was a photocopy or what they did. Maybe the panel was missing. I'm not sure. But this is very, very white compared to the paper, but it is lettered.
Where is that? What page is that?
Look, it's sold for $60. That's what that page cost.
Oh, yeah.
That's a price up there from someone selling it. Oh my gosh, $60.
Gosh, can you imagine? I would love that. You know what I love about this issue too? It's so spur of the moment. The page layout. The page layout is exciting. The shot choices everything has this momentum to it. It's almost like I want to do everything in 2 weeks, so I have that energy.
Well, you couldn't do it singular in 2 weeks. You would need 6 to do what they did because it's 3 guys.
That's true.
And I'll tell you right now, Jim is like 4 people.
Yeah, he is fast.
Dude, he's got the endurance of a bull.
Just having him go in and some of this layout looks like stuff Will does.
So cool. Look at this.
Yeah. So simple.
Well, this is the stuff that we get all googly about in Mark Silvestri's work, and Buscema too. John Buscema is great at this stuff.
Well, he does this shot of New Orleans coming up. That's same kind of thing, but it's like, holy smokes! It's just some scribbles, but it reads like that plane right there. I mean, it's great.
And that looks like it was inked with a quill because it's more black. Or the marker-y thing, and you can see where they made little choices here and there that they removed. A little bit of white in the pupil. They maybe overdrew the pupil and went like, it doesn't need that extra line. This tight shot of Gambit is great.
Yeah, they use this is done really fast, like you keep saying, but he uses less and less correctional and more just for effect.
Right.
Yeah, there it is. Look at that shot of New Orleans. Such a great page. This page has really stood out to me.
Fun stuff.
Because it's like a collage,
Look at how the ink, it almost looks like it got wet over here or something. Like these Venetian blinds, they were clearly done in some sort of a marker, but it actually kind of smudged, but it in a weird way, it's aging in an interesting way. I found that a very cool looking effect. This actually reminds me a little bit of Will Eisner. Like
those guys' faces are hilarious. They're so quickly drawn.
It's so Wills.
What's funny is that face looks like stuff that I used to do when I was trying to figure out their style, and it's funny to see that in the background. Like it's so loose.
Again, look at that. I mean, it's an incredible drawing, but man, Scott just comes in and steals the show with the inks. Like this is so good.
Yeah, the hair and the movement.
Thing.
I love the effect and his energy. The effect of the white line and the black.
I honestly feel that it was destiny that this book fell into my lap when it did. I really believe that.
You're about to start your book, so
I know, and it's like I'm constantly searching for ideas to make my stuff better. Just and you see stuff like this, and you go, "You're overthinking it, bro. Throw this shit down."
This has been a huge motto for me for years and years now, because we take what they've done and we try to do it because we think they labored over all of this. All this was done super fast, and that's how we're going to get to it.
Look at this right here. This drawing is so good.
I love how they didn't fill the black in her finger, and it looks like a bounce light on the bottom side of her fingers.
Right here.
The ones that are splayed out like that. Yeah.
Her arm is great, and even the folds on her costume are so cool looking.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Sorry,
how do you do the back and forth
waggle
on her shoulder? Right there. Pause right there.
Yeah, I do that with 2 strokes. So I'll go in. You can do it as a scissor move where you actually go thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick. It's a little bit easier to just throw one set of lines that go thin to thick, and then I throw a thin line next to them.
It looks like you might be waggling, and then I don't know.
You can do it as a waggle. I mean, I know the move. I do it. I find that I kind of nail it more if I do that. But then again, what you just said, it's like I'm perfecting techniques that maybe aren't supposed to be.
Well, I'd be too afraid of the nib popping.
Right. Going back and forth. Yeah. No, for sure. And it'll spit. And look at the shoes, like this too. I love this look right here. This stuff.
I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to the chat anymore. Hello.
What's up, everyone? Oh, look at that upshot is nice too. That guy laying right there, that's really good. Really good. That's hard to do. Maybe not for you. But
no, that face, that's a constant. This is some of the stuff coming up. You'll see that, still blows my mind with those upshots.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love the way that they put the black on the shoes.
I love this page because of the panel layouts. It makes me want to play with these vertical panels like this.
A lot of times what I'll do is I'll zoom in on something that's a point of interest, and then I kind of pull out and I'll show the page. It just seemed the way that it seemed like what I was doing. So I'll show the full page, but I think I first kind of try to show something cool on it.
Yeah, dumbest names is how in the world was this done in 2 weeks? So that's the magic of it. It's 3 guys It's just 3 of them, right, on this issue? So,
maybe Carl. But he's not credited. I know that there was sometimes a 4th person, maybe in commentaries, but I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Look at that! Look at the floats.
Yeah, let me go back a little bit.
How quickly they're dashed out. Just the buildings and stuff. But when you throw color on that, it tightens it up.
Gambit is great.
But it has this effect of having so much life in it, and a lot of times the finishing really strains the life right out of a piece.
So, and this is interesting too. That issue seems to be not lettered on the boards. Those were paste ups, but a lot of the stuff you'll see is actually lettered on the original art board.
I'm really looking at this again. I'm super amazed at how the lettering fits so well.
I know.
With the art, and they got angles, close-up shots, and I'm like, every time I try to make room for the word balloon, it's this boring tiny figure down in the corner, and they're all over the place with it.
Yeah, so are those paste ups? I think that's those paste ups.
Oh, here?
Yeah, hold on.
No, those look like they're on the board.
So I don't know. Okay, I've worked on a few jobs that actually were lettered on the original boards. Generally speaking, how it would go would be the penciler would send it to the letterer, and the letterer would letter it, and then it would go to the inker. But I know that sometimes they do it where they'll white out the art underneath and then letter over that.
That's what they're doing here. You can actually see the art underneath.
Yeah, crazy.
That's amazing. And then it become. I'd love to have hand lettered, on the board, but for if you're gonna resell it or for the posterity of the piece, print long
is great.
Look at the lighting on that.
I know.
You think you had reference?
Yeah, I mean, Jim, if he needs to use reference, he'll use it for sure, and he could be even referencing a comic book too.
Because they're working so fast. The reference when you're working fast is a pain in the ass. Eventually, I'm just like, just forget it. Just figure it out.
Well, if Wills put this in, Wills is like the lighting guy.
True, he's really good.
So he would be able to do it. But this isn't such crazy lighting to me. I've seen them do crazier shit than that for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You get the sense. No, I don't know. I would only be guessing.
Some of that hair looks like pen too. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing that I like looking at is Jim's X-Men card set, because it's done. He inked it all himself, and it's very fast.
So cool.
It's it has total energy, and you can see the technique. This is what I like about people when they do it fast. You can almost break down the technique, and it's, I don't know, it's a little easier to look at. Fastest.
There's in the back of the book. There's maybe 8 to 12 trading cards. Had you seen those yet in the back of the book?
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
This is very, very cool. This has got shades of Jay Lee coming in, or Sienkiewicz. Oh, okay, I skipped it. I didn't want to lag too hard. It was this video was getting long. I've got a few videos though, but I was scared that my camera could be shooting weird. So this is lettered on the board again. The Madripoor Knights, all this stuff, really incredible. And we've got Jim Scott, Glennis Oliver, Tom Orzechowski.
Letterers are great inkers, man.
Yeah. And again, the
lettering,
the ninja costume. So Jim leaves a note on it that says that he wants the ninja costumes red and not purple. So I don't know if maybe the issue before they were colored purple.
Yeah, it's really weird doing red over black, because then it's just the highlights are red.
Right.
So it looks like crushed velvet or something.
Yeah, see right there, the notes right there.
I used to think they were in velour ninja outfits or something.
Yeah. Color ninjas are blood red, not purple, not dark purple.
Yeah, but now they're purple. You got to be consistent.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. That's so cool. The inks on that guy. Again,
some great ninjas, man. We need more ninjas and stuff. We're missing some ninjas.
The wolves in Blaster Kid are kind of like ninjas. They move that fast. You'll see.
Ninja action.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of chase scenes in Blaster Kid that actually you could easily project that they're ninja type characters. Ah, it's so good. Look at that. Woo!
Just how giant this shot is. I just couldn't imagine. I don't see Jim Lee doing a lot of preliminary work. Like, I see him working it out on the page.
That's how I've always seen him lay stuff out, is on the boards, which is crazy. It's so good.
It is. He's not afraid to erase. I've watched his videos a couple times where he'll erase whole giant things that I probably would have kept.
Well, and sometimes, I mean, I tell this story because it was interesting to see and kind of an eye opener for me. But he was working on a double page spread of, I think, Superman and Batman fighting at Wildstorm for a couple of days, and he just could not get the fist on one of the characters to look right. He eventually just erased the whole thing, and I was just like, "Oh my god!"
She got another page or something to start over.
There was so much drawn, and he was just like, "I'm never going to get the arm unless I just take it out, like the whole thing out." I was just like, I'm scared to change it. Not anymore, but back then, I mean, like, if I had to change anything on a hand or something, I was just like, oh, I'm going to ruin the whole thing.
Watching that kind of stuff though is inspiring, because it's like, oh, there's no fear there.
Legs. Oh,
there was no fear there. I'd be very timid when it comes to, like, he's like, no, he just, like, gets in there. He's got an eraser in one hand and a pencil in the other, and he's doing it at, like, the same time.
Yeah. So we have Zipatone on Black Widow, but the other thing that I want to point out about these pages that you start to see more and more is how incredibly small the line work is on the faces. The little lines and stuff that they're putting to indicate very important features like nostrils, eye sockets or eyelids. It's crazy how tiny Scott starts inking this stuff.
See, that's where I'd be nervous I'd mess up, and then the line gets all shaky. You can't do that. You got to go for it.
These are such great little panels. And you get the little bit of the Daredevil, like a little bit of Frank Miller or Mazzucchelli kind of creeping in. And really pretty girl here. Very, very classic Jim Lee, pretty girl face.
Yeah, he was so good at the ladies, for sure. And the faces. There's some faces coming up. You asked me to snap some shots, and there was one that's specifically this one shot of the woman's face. How he does mouths like this, I struggle so much with the face.
Yeah.
And it's like him and Silvestri were just so good at drawing women so easily, what it looks easy.
Yeah. It's funny because it's like
his face and lips right there too, man. God.
Yeah. This is like entertainment, but at the end, when this video is over, we've actually just all studied together for like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Like any person watching this right now, you're learning right now, this second, as we look at this. This is all good vitamins for your art. However,
there's so much flair to, like, the hair. Like, if you pause there.
Okay, so that's the end of that clip. I have more, so don't worry.
There was just so much flair to the hair. There's, like, it's not just a line. It's line, thicks and thins, another set of thicks and thins. There's just so much variety and interest in the hair, and it's like, I'm like, is that necessary? But it creates an effect that is designed for visual interest. It all.
Okay. Sorry, we can continue with the video. You keep talking.
Yeah, just all this flair in the line. Yeah,
look at that little shot of her jumping. Oh my god, that is so good. It looks like right out of Batman, right? Like, it looks like Robin.
Maybe he's doing that get his little Robin action on.
Yeah, well, he was a big Frank Miller fan too. So look at that Wolvie. God, that's powerful. His body is so buff. Look at that. Whoo! Damn.
The clavicle and this whole area right here. I still struggle. It's so hard to do, and they make it look so easy.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, like that right there. This.
Yeah, well, and all this material between the this muscle unit here, all this tendons.
Oh, right. Yeah.
God, so good. That's not easy to do.
Jim had one medical kind of style anatomy book at Wildstorm, and then he had I know he studied Bridgman too.
Yeah, you could see that, the chunky kind of quality to it, the weight of the figures.
That's nice, man. It's really good. And another upshot. This one loses it a little bit. It gets a little distorted, but not bad by any means.
See, the lip is just kind of a shaped oval, and then there's this little space where the highlight is on the bottom lip.
Right.
A lot of times colorists didn't know that when they started doing that kind of stuff, and they would make that teeth.
I know.
It's really supposed to be the red of the bottom lip.
I know. Well, I've seen too when they color the eye. They color the eyelid as the eye because they would draw the eyelid too, and that was throwing people off. And you'd have these weird like cock eyes. That's such a good Wolverine.
Well, there's tricks where you draw the line indicating the shadow, and then you leave like the lid just blank, and it's they'll color that as the whole eye.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at that hand right there. You can actually see the anatomy in the fingers. It's crazy. Like you can see the bones, like how you indicate the skeleton underneath.
What was it? I heard somebody just talk about McFarlane saying that. Just draw 3 peanuts.
Oh, that's a good idea.
3 peanuts.
So this was when I started to question if I should go page by page. So right now, like in my mind as I'm filming this, I was like, this is going to take forever because I'm like 7 pages into the book. So these next videos will be shorter, but I focus in on the different eras of the work, and then also when you sent me the files. So this is T. Bear's ink, right?
Is it?
I think this is.
So it's Scott Williams.
Oh, this one is Scott Williams. Okay. Oh, you've got the.
Oh no! Oh, that one. You're on the double. Yeah. Okay.
I think this.
No, that's Art T. Bear. Look at that.
Yeah. Early art.
What's funny is this issue. When this issue came out, I looked at this first double page. I didn't realize Art inked this. I was like, this is post Art Adams, Jim Lee. Like he'd seen Art Adams do some stuff. Because it has such an Art Adams feel to it.
It has a very Art Adams feel to me. I was literally like, I was waiting for you to stop talking, and I was going to say, it looks like Art Adams.
I don't know what Art was doing at this time, but it's funny that it kind of has an Art Adams flair, and Art T. Bear inked it. Lots of art.
Yeah. Really interesting, but yeah, it gives it a totally different vibe.
Is this the only? Is this? Oh, okay. This is from 269. Is that the same? Yeah, 269. So it's just that double that really has that. Art
well, these have a little bit of the Art Adams-ish thing too, but it's
look at that face.
Yeah, another great upshot though, dude. What is going on? That is
he's so good at that. That's a hard thing to pull off.
It's a very hard thing to pull off, man.
This is such a great splash too when you see like the bottom half of it with just Rogue.
Yeah, Vavoom.
Yeah, it's hard doing the face upshot. He gets so much better at that.
This right here, I didn't even notice before. The little
that looks like this is like this panel right here is where J. Scott Campbell came from.
Right. I know. It's like that's the moment where the light went off in his head and he goes, I know my style, right?
Yeah.
It's funny because this page has a little bit of Michael Golden and Arthur Adams vibe to me, but it's probably just the content.
I love T. Bear's inks in this. The chunkiness of that dinosaur hand is there's stuff that Art does later when he gets even more refined that I used to stare at and just like, how on earth are you doing this?
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting. We'll try to have Art on and we can go over these pages and he can talk about it if he would be into it. This almost has a little bit of Frank Miller Ronin inking vibe to me down here. This area right here is very designy.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's like the blipping and blooping. What a magical time to be drawing comics for these guys. They're all
Art
young.
Was a master. He was a master of the bloop. He has a name for it. I forget. Is it called the bloop?
I don't know. I was.
There's like a name for it. The little drip of.
Yeah.
And then Alex Garner took it to the next level.
That's who I kind of learned it from. The blip blop was Alex, and then Scott Williams, I think, a little bit later. These are interesting pages. This little panel of the guy it cracked me up.
It's really weird. Like that's a random head.
That's a tough shot to draw too. Her cheeks are getting a little away from him, but that's not an easy angle to draw by any means. The features on the face are pretty good, but yeah, this jaw got a little wacky.
It's so fun though, like these little simple figures, but there's so much going on in them. And that next shot, the third panel,
this right here,
this angle,
yeah,
because you're looking from above, down, and from the back.
Let's see if I pull out on the page. I apologize if I didn't. Oh, these headshots are great too.
Oh man, it's so good. And if you look at it, like it's hard, it's easy to look at this, go, how do you do this? But if you look at it, it's just some lines put down on paper. And if you look at it a very simple way, look at it's just a few lines organized in, in a good proportion.
Okay, then let me grab another video file. Like I said, the video files get a little bit shorter as I was trying to make sure that I was nailing some interesting stuff. So this one's 1 minute and 34 seconds. And
we still hadn't even gotten into when I really started coming in.
Yeah, no worries. We got plenty. Well, like I got nothing to do before.
Huh?
I said I'm in for the long haul. If this goes 3 hours, I think it's 3 hours well spent, personally.
Yeah, but oh my gosh. Yeah.
Okay, let me share my screen. Don't worry, we're getting to it.
Yeah, when they get to the Savage Land stuff, that's when I mean
I know you really wanted that full issue.
I wanted all of that stuff. Those were like award-winning mega issues in comics. In fact, it won an award. And then everybody was like, how did this win an award? And they stopped allowing comic books to win the award. So it's the only comic book to ever win the Eagle.
Oh, right. Look at that. Oh, man. So good.
Yeah, again, that upshot. I mean.
It kills it. So good. Classic Jim Lee monster transformation thing. This could be Damonites from Wildcats and Voodoo. It's funny.
Man, I'm totally lost.
I'm still kind of going in order. This is, or maybe not.
Here we go. Yeah, is this still? Whose is this? Is this still?
I don't know.
There's no issue number on this one.
These shots of them laying down are good too. Like the faces, pretty it's tough shots. Nice depth on the.
It looks like Scott Williams to me. This stuff.
If you focus in on these craters on the ground, do you see how they created like a ridge? Not you, but I mean like people that are learning to draw. This creates depth. So you've got an elliptical shape right here, but just the fact that they put this little slope of a ridge, it shows the back plane of the divot. Little things like that can really add a level of believability and kind of depth. That's you really want it.
I never noticed that, but it makes me wonder if this is where I got it, because I was just drawing. I was recording a drawing of Nora Saga page I'm doing, and I was doing backgrounds, and I was showing that very same thing, how to just drop down like some earth,
Yeah. It really, I mean, it's like that little cast shadow or the little bit of light hitting the rim of that thing. It's real important.
It's the depth, it creates some interest. Look at this, man.
I know.
269. This is Extinction Agenda. Yeah, I wasn't reading at this time, but I went back and got all this stuff.
Yeah,
so powerful legs, man. This is.
I like the rendering creeps into the thigh here. Do you see from the crotch? Like it crosses over.
Yeah,
it probably should have been cleaned up, but oh man, the way that they ink the belt and stuff like that. Oh my god, it's so good. And these like the fancy Kirby crackle.
Yeah, that's something that I loved. I wondered if it was like Jim and. Probably a little bit of both. Like he scribbled something in there, and then Scott did something with it, and then that became like, let's do that. They do it a few times.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Next video.
Yeah, there's some weird gray tones on one of these pages.
Yeah. Share screen. All right, we're heading back in. More cool stuff right now. Right now. All right, let's go. Look at this one, Kelsey. Futuristic women soldiers with fancy.
Oh, where are we? I think we're a few pages ahead. Yeah, okay.
Oh, and this is kind of the Art Adams, the running down the alley. Campbell did use this in Gen 13, although Jim laid it out for him, so it's this is right out of Gen 13. This is the kids and the parents when they get smoked in the first issue of the miniseries.
Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen that stuff.
They're running in the rain, and the parents are getting like all shot up by a threat from above.
It's funny because Campbell probably got, oh, you copying Jim on that. Well, no, Jim laid it out, so Jim's copying Jim.
This was interesting too. There was a mistake on this page that I caught, and I'll show you what it is. If you look, there's like a circle on this guy's chest. I don't think this is part of his costume, although it could be. But if you notice right here on the page, there's like a circle. Like they would clip out the art, but on the right side facing pages in the book, there's generally like a black circle and then like a little line. But I don't know if that's really supposed to be on the art or not. It's kind of weird. Not a big deal, but I'd have to see the comic to see if it's actually on his costume.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, there was just like a black circle that sort of.
How many things have we seen over the years that were actually just an accident?
Yeah, I know.
Gosh, you're laying in that screen tone, and then you have to cut out all those little pieces.
I know, it's crazy. So this is really interesting. They would outline stuff in red, and those would be knockouts.
How did they do that?
With red pen?
Well, no, I mean, but how do you take that to the printer and have them knock out a red ink line?
Maybe on the film it doesn't show, or they could remove it. Look at that fist. God.
Well, I know in some cases they'll do that as on an overlay, where they'll ink it on a separate overlay, the part that they want knocked out. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't
Campbell
know.
would do that all the time. He would like have tattoos on people, and he would draw them on different layers and stuff like that, or like different sheets of board. This is such a good page. Jeez.
Just don't know how you handle that. I love these little scenes like that.
I know.
Guys doing stuff. Yeah, it used to amaze me how they fit so much in one tiny panel.
The page on the right was one of your favorites. It may be on this video. If not, it'll be on the next one. But
just some good stuff. Wait, is that the page? No.
No, the one. It's the one on the right with a Psylocke kind of on the ground shooting the gun.
Yeah, man. Still gets me this page.
This is so badass. This arm and the way that they do the folds. Oh my god.
Yeah, good stuff.
Oh, and that fist, his hands, man. I'm telling you, Jim draws hands to kill. Literally.
Look at that. Still, making out the little details. God, look at the angle on the buildings in the background. They turn the whole panel.
Oh, look at that big dry brush stroke on her leg. It's cool. Oh, yeah. Go back a little bit. Wait. Oh.
It still blows me away. How do you do this?
Yeah, look at the dry brush on that.
Yeah.
It looks good.
I'm mesmerized at the angle of the shot, and then you point out that there's actual magic happening with the dry brush.
Well, look at the angle that her foot is at too. That's without making it look like some sort of like peg leg foot or something. It actually quite well. It's the little line on the bottom indicates kind of where the what do you call it? The arch of your foot is, and also where like the ball of the before the toes. So that helps separate it, or it would look weird.
There are those fancy knees.
I know, that's so good. And this upshot, he really kept it looking like it feels like you're underneath her coming over you.
It's his stuff and these like this kind of thing, which is what got me to start playing around with how the chest is this other thing that you can pivot around, and have depth to, because he would look at the hips and the shoulders, how kind of twisted it is.
So this is one of the pages that you loved.
Yeah, look at this, man. There's so much energy. Those wires kind of showing the the punch, and then him so close in the foreground.
Yeah.
Oh, this is good stuff. But the bottom panel is what's really all about, man. Such a great action shot.
Wolvie's two fists, man, they're like right next to each other.
I still draw this to this very same day. It started here. Art Adams started like doing great fists. Mignola does great fists. And they all kind of do the same techniques.
Here you go. This is what you like right here.
Look at this. It looks like she just busted in, like you're sliding across the floor shooting. It's so dynamic.
Here, I'll go back to it again.
You should have broke the panel right there. That would have been sweet.
Man, her face is so pretty too.
Yeah, those eyes. Anytime I do eyes like that, I feel it doesn't look right. But somehow he does it, and it's like, God, how do you do that?
I was trying to render on Crystal Planet, like on faces, like more scary faces. It never looked right to me either. I kept trying it. I think the style of the book doesn't really allow it. But with Blaster Kid, I'm gonna try to put more rendering. Well, there'll be a lot more rendering, but rendering on the faces too. But okay, so let me. I gotta open another file.
Golly, it blows my mind.
Oh, I know. Oh, my mouse. Sorry.
And the hair on Wolverine, the time it takes to do that. I mean, you're probably just talking on the phone, ticking off. All right, what else do I pick up from the store? Milk. Okay. You ready? Some time.
The spread.
Oh my God, you jumped ahead.
Yeah, well, because this I started shooting this morning.
Yeah, you don't want to spoil the whole book too. So
no. I believe it or not, I didn't. I actually was very mindful not to. So if people want to duck out, they can until they get the book. But I kept it pretty respectful to everyone involved.
So I was completely the right age, totally like, what's this comics thing? Then this frickin' cover drops like at the perfect moment, and I still like, how do you do this? Like what? It's still one of the coolest comic book images ever created, I think.
They really were like on another level at this point. The level of detail. It's interesting too, because you said something that reminded me of Travis when he was learning and was a fan of this Jim Lee stuff. He thought, like what you were saying, where he thought that Jim drew all the line work to look like this. Yeah. So when Travis would draw in pencil, he would actually try to mimic the way that Scott looked.
Yeah, I think we all did. I did that too, because I was like, how do they do that? They must pencil that so that the inker knows what to do. Right. No, that's a product of the flick and how the tool works. And so this is what, and then a lot of inkers also fall into this same trap where they're mimicking the pencil too closely. So like, I'm always like, anytime I have an inker, I'm like, don't just go with it. Just do your thing. Don't worry about mimicking it too closely. Except for my eyes. Keep my eyes.
Right. Well, it's interesting is what happened for me is I started inking because it was the post. This stuff had already been huge, and Image Comics was already rolling. People really did start to want you to ink exactly what they penciled, and it kind of was like, it wasn't really the original intent of the job. But
this is how things got slower and slower over time. Books started getting later because they were trying to do this very specifically, when in actuality it's a product of like each of these guys' basic handwriting. It just comes out this way, Right. And instead of that kind of thing, trying to laboriously create this, you should really let this be an extension of your own, inner voice, like this.
Your own calligraphy, the way that you hold the pen.
Exactly.
For the lines and stuff.
Yeah, I love the addition of the coat. There's some coat shots. The Colossus. I mean, who's Colossus? Whose favorite character is Colossus? It was mine at the time. That metal. Oh my gosh, that outfit.
Yeah, so it's four. That's a quadruple gatefold that they have in the book, and then they have another I think triple gatefold, kind of as part of the other side.
Yeah, Chauncey says, "Give your soul to the comic gods, and anybody can make this type of spread." That's true. You have to be at the time that this what is it, a triple or quadruple gatefold?
Quadruple.
So at the time that they did this, this is the height of the game, man. They were done many issues together. They knew that the weight of this being a number one, a relaunch of X-Men, they were ready for it, and they executed at the highest possible level they could, you know. And in fact, it wasn't until Jim got to like Batman, which I think is where he reached like a new level.
Yeah,
you know, this was the pinnacle at the time. You know, like I don't know. I mean, this, at least for me as a fan looking at his work, this was nearly flawless.
and I mean, it feels like we're looking at a lot of the book. I'm telling you, there's so much art in it. It was unbelievable. It was so difficult to actually record this. It was crazy.
Yeah, this is
okay. So this is another spread. Now, to me, this looks like this was done a little bit earlier than the other spread, because the archetype faces seem to drift a little bit. Like they're not as like he hadn't perfected each of his face types.
This is an older spread.
I think I'm only speculating. It looks to me only because of the faces.
It looks like a different inker too, almost. It must be just this how it was drawn, because that definitely is
on it. So my guess is that maybe this was done like a year before, possibly. Could have been done at the same exact time. The faces don't look the same though.
It's almost like they gained some experience, and he's like, let's tackle that again, you know.
Right.
And they totally knocked it out of the park the second time.
Wolverine's hand gets a little big right there. Actually, it's funny.
Well, because team shots are no joke. Team shots are really difficult to do. And then when he starts that X-Men, he does it a few times in the prior issues, but he brings it to like the next level in the new X-Men, because he does several team shots of bad guys, good guys, and
Kevin Nolan's face.
It's always iconic. Yeah, it is.
So Kevin Nolan.
The eyes are very Kevin Nolan. Those little slits. Kevin Nolan does that too. And Mignola does it too. All those three guys are very good at that. Yeah.
Oh, all the details.
Man. Yeah. When I start drawing too many leg muscles and stuff, I'm just like, this looks ridiculous, and I just stop.
The rendering on her stomach, like, dude, that's like 30 minutes worth of work just for that area.
How many times did he erase that to get that right?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's perfect. The hips and everything. It's just the way the light glare going up the body. It's like perfect.
Yeah. Man. So wild. I like her. This is Jim inking himself. This is very nice.
I love this piece. This is like a little promo.
It's really, really good.
There's one character I don't like, is Psylocke. Her leg, her rear is so flat there. She looks so thin. It's like it needs to be like widened just a tad. But I love how fast his ink is.
Yeah. I love how he inked Storm.
He does a dry brush thing on her. It's so great.
And white paint too. And Rogue looks cute. Rogue was really, really good.
Fantastic. Yeah, this piece too was colored by I'm forgetting his name, but he's the same guy that colored the whole card set, hand painted.
Is it Rosas?
Who?
Joe Rosas?
No. This guy, he did, and that was all he did. Actually, I think that might have been a Chido piece. I think Chido did that.
Oh, okay. So now we're getting into X-Men #1, but like I said, these videos get shorter and shorter The remaining few are just like a minute long, so we're heading into the end zone ish a little. We're gonna start hitting your pages though. I recorded the videos of the pages that you wanted to spotlight.
So this is right on the money of when I became hooked. This was designed to hook me, and it did it, because this is post Liefeld doing that commercial. I just started looking at like McFarlane's Spider-Man, and then the X-Force, and then this hit. And I swear to God, there's ads for Wildcats in the back of this issue. So it's, not exactly, but maybe an issue or two later, you're seeing Jim Lee drawing a whole other superhero team.
Right.
And you're like, my mind is just it's scrambled eggs looking at all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And this shot is, God almighty. It still blows my mind. How iconic is that?
It's powerful in the comic book, but God, when you see it full size like this, boy, it really has a presence. I thought it was really interesting. So they apply white paint for the stars, but they also used diluted white paint and did more sort of stars that are in the distance.
Oh, will those show up?
Well, they didn't really too much in the book, but you can see it there, unless the paint, white paint, flecked off, which I don't think happened. The feathering line right there for the atmosphere is very, very cool too.
This issue is still one of my favorite comic books of all time. I mean, it's still
how lucky are we that we get to be a part of this fun industry?
I wanted to be a truck driver before all this, so like I had no interest in really drawing comics. I don't know why I never put two and two together. I like drawing, but it wasn't until, and it was like this. I think it hit a lot of us. It was this. There was something in the air, It was just the right time. You had all these guys at the pinnacle of their talent. You had an audience just primed for it. God, man, it hooked me, hook, line, and sinker. It got me. And then, of course, you go back and you see all the other stuff.
It's so classic, that face.
What's funny is the generation before us, I mean, they look at John Byrne and Mike Zeck and Walt Simonson, all the same way, with reverence.
Well, I had to go back and check this stuff out. You have to understand, my first comics. Oh, there, I put a pen just to get a size relationship on this. I started collecting comics when Spawn was already coming out, so I'm a little late to the game compared to you, but I caught up. But I had to go back.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
I started collecting when Spawn had maybe 3 to 5 issues out.
God, Spawn. I wish I could convey the feeling that I had when I saw like Spider-Man stuff, but when Spawn came out, it was like that stuff on steroids. The color was, you'd never seen that before. The color in that Pat Olaf or Steve Olaf had done.
Look at this.
Oh my God, this
this is incredible.
What is this? This is like when I see the critical eye that goes towards Marvel today is when you see double page spreads today. It's people standing around a table at eye level shot, and you look at this and the dynamics involved in this. It's like, oh, I see why we're losing interest. Is like, we've lost a lot of that, and I blame the movies to a certain extent because we brought in a level of reality. Not David Finch, Brian Hitch as well. He brings in this level of reality, and little by little, the magic is diluted, where we start feeling like, well, that's not realistic. That's not comics. We need to go for broke.
Yeah. You flex the comic, the comic creative muscles more. Man, this is so good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Brian Hitch was amazing.
I get it. It's like,
But there is something. there's something magic in the, they had taken all these, everything that's come before, and like they were discovering little things like original art sales helped the dynamism of each page, because they started realizing they need a hero shot on every page to sell a book. That intrinsically made it more interesting to look at. Intrinsically, I don't know if that's the right word.
This almost has a tiny bit of Barry Windsor Smith in it to me.
Oh yeah,
just a hint. This is a little splash. It could be Scott, because Scott's a huge Barry Windsor Smith fan. But well, they both are. But yeah, this almost vibes me a little Barry Windsor Smith, like the rendering on the lips and stuff.
Yeah,
really nice.
Yeah, that's another influence I totally forgot about. Yeah, very much.
I zoom in on the eyes so that you can see the detail on the pupils, because it's so small. But man, look at the love that they gave the eyes.
We should go through Barry Windsor Smith's few X-Men issues.
Sure,
incredible.
I've done a few. I think I have 3 or 4 videos on Barry Windsor Smith already up. But
okay.
But no, I mean, but if you haven't seen it, it's new to you.
This page was one of my. I was going to snap this shot. But I ended up going with the page after it. But this shot, the first panel of the little missiles firing.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but it kind of clicked into my head that you need to have shots like this. I don't know. When I was looking at this as a kid, and when I was trying to figure out how to draw, just this quick shot, and how I would labor over it. I'd draw every branch on the tree.
Right.
And I always remember going back to look at this panel and just seeing the simplicity of it and how effective it is.
Yeah, and it kind of looks better. I actually really like the way that they did the clouds. They kept a lot of actual depth to it. And this piece of cloud in front of this huge, more like cumulus cloud, I thought was a really nice touch. And in fact, even putting this in front of it, you really almost get 3 planes of depth on basically outlined clouds.
Yeah, in fact, I used to have conversations with Stelfreeze about that, about how you really should have like a foreground, middle ground, background to create depth.
Yeah.
And I think you can extend that to even storytelling, where you kind of like where they're coming from, where they are and where they're going, kind of illustrated in a panel.
And Scott putting this little heavier line right here actually creates a little bit of a shadow of the cloud in front of its own cloud. It's really like it's so subtle, but like that makes such a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. It's incredible. Just that,
In this shot of Rogue. We can give Wills credit for Iceman's power effect, because Wills brought that to another level.
Yeah,
in X Factor, and I love how Jim simplified it here. It gets a little crazy. Wills loves his rendering.
right.
And this shot, that is such a hard thing to do and make look right.
Yeah. And what's funny is she actually has a little bit of a southern vibe to her face. I don't know what he did that gives it that, but I could picture her talking in a southern accent, which is very weird. Like I can't figure out what it is. I don't
know. The hair, maybe the big.
I don't know. It's very weird.
The rendering on the suit, the way he does highlights on the black parts of the suit, or at least the darker parts.
Yeah,
still kind of trips me up a little bit. Like, how do you figure that out?
The suggestion of that tree is so good.
Yeah, that must have taken some time. Those speed lines. Oh yeah, that tree down at the bottom, the last panel.
Here's your one of your picks.
Yeah, this
Kelsey pick.
This tripped me out, because this is like when I really started seeing action at play. Because like the first shot, you can see that you can feel the momentum of Archangel releasing, Colossus toward the window, and then they get this great shot, almost like it froze that moment of time, and then you get to see what's coming through the window. Then you get their perspective. They're like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah. Well, and Wills really made Archangel look kick ass. Like, I mean, I would say that he set a template for that. Oh,
that middle panel right there was a revelation too, because it's like he's coming in from off panel. We're seeing him in this cool angle from behind. You get to see them. I mean, it's everything about that shot is like is great. I mean, there's just so much interest. Her pose, so dynamic. I don't know. When you start doing this stuff, it's a real balancing act because, like, oh, I put the legs too far apart. Oh, I'm not. You're pushing the body, and you're like, it just doesn't look right. And the way he's doing it is still sort of anatomically correct in a way.
I mean, look at how he suggests the anatomy on Colossus's arms here, going back like this. The way that he pulls and bulges the metallic forms is just amazing.
That's a lot of work. It's one panel.
Oh, look at that.
This is another one I was going to clip because when that Jim Lee card set out, I was all into this trying to draw, and I made my own card set. And I did multiple cards that you could put together, and it was all my characters in that shot of them walking through the sewer. I just copied that exactly.
So also for people watching the video, I have links to Jim's social media in the description box, and also a link to IDW. If you like this book, I would definitely recommend trying to seek it out as soon as possible, at least for now. And then, check out some of the other artist editions. I think, if this is sort of vibing with you, you have a lot of options. So
I just saw that they're starting to put out soft covers. They're not out yet. It's brand new. And they're like $34. So there's a lot that I missed that I'm hoping they'll put out as soft covers because I really want this stuff.
And they have kind of mini versions of the artist editions too for people that don't have huge bookshelves. They're like a scaled down version of it. So I know a friend of mine.
Yeah, I wonder if that's are they hardcover as well?
I think it was a hardcover.
Oh wow. Oh man. Wait, which page is that? Oh yeah, okay, I see. That's the bottom of that one.
Really, really beautiful little drawings, man.
Amazing stuff. And, the balance. Like when I looked at your pages for Crystal Planet, is that the name of it? I was always amazed at your balance of black to white, like where to put that, and like I'll end up choking it with too much or not enough. And when you look at these pages, you see this distribution of black is just very even, not even, but just, I don't know, it lets your eye dance around the page.
Yeah, I think
it's a real craft to figure out, to learn.
I think a part of mine is probably because I'm a huge fan of Frank Miller and Mignola. And then the other is Travis, for sure.
I am too, but like Mignola, I got into that and I filled it with black, but I'm talking about how like the way you do it, it's much more open. Like in the
right.
It's a lot like this where it's open, but you have lots of black just kind of dancing around the page, and it doesn't look choked,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I trust my eye with it. I mean, I could definitely, I can try to explain it. Like, I have to kind of reverse engineer it though, because I just kind of squint my eyes. But there's definitely a rhyme to the reason, I'm sure. So I start showing the pencil because this is now just to get a sense of the scale, so that people can realize how small this stuff is drawn. But that's not photo distortion that you're seeing there. That's the pencil literally right next to this face and how small the face is.
Yeah, when you see it, the giant page, and you're like, "Oh my god, this is so huge." But then you see that tiny stuff. Yeah,
that's crazy. You see that? Look how thin those lines are.
Yeah, what a Hunt 102? What is that? I don't know.
Yeah. He had one other nib that he would use. I can't remember what it's called. Maybe a Gillette one. I don't know. I don't be guessing. I don't know.
See, the danger for me is looking at this stuff is like I just want to like do this style, but like I need to figure out how to grab what's really exciting about this stuff to me and like incorporate it into who I am and not just try to do Jim.
The thing is just look at this stuff and then draw your stuff and don't worry about like actually porting it over. I mean, I think that would be the best advice I would give anyone, is enjoy this for what it is, but just sit down and draw your stuff as best as you can. And the thing is, you're going to amplify your work just based on the good stuff that you saw. And then if you want to put a little rendering in, you can do it, you know.
Well, to me, it's not. To me, it's not really about the rendering because I don't really have the patience for this. You know, but that is part of it. But I'm really mesmerized by his visual interest, the shot choices, the bigs and smalls, how, you know, the dynamics of it all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of thin and thick and broken lines too. The broken lines definitely give it room to breathe.
Oh, the next page is really interesting. This is something I really want to do some of, is because he'll take a panel and just do it as this tiny little thin line at the top, you know.
Let me see if I got it. We're almost at the end of this video. I think this is the last thing I shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you see guys do that kind of stuff where it's just this little sliver, and it'll be just a silhouette of something. And it's like, was that a panel?
There's 4 more video clips, it looks like. So we'll check out the last 4 and see what we got.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry too. So
they're short. They're like a minute long. So it's yeah, no worries. We went 2 hours. That's good. And I didn't like I said, there's so much of the book left. I didn't do any of the cover bonus stuff. So there's tons of surprises left in the book for anyone that gets it. So this is issue 2. I showed this because of my color guide, just so that you know, people that want to. Man, that's amazing. The zip-a-tone that they use, those big like halftone dots, is very cool.
Yeah, I love that. That's like one of those things when you're a kid, you're like, how did they do that? Did they sit there and draw each dot?
Yeah, I know. I didn't even know a year before I got into comics what that was. I literally did think that they drew dots.
Until you do it and you're like, no, this looks like this other thing called pointillism. This is not right.
Yeah. Like, do you take a ruler and just kind of make squares and put a dot at everything?
I tried that once. I did like 2 or 3 pages where I just did lines. You know, I didn't realize it was a screen tone, you know, that they just laid over it. And I tried to hand do it, and I got through 2.5 pages before I realized you can't do this.
I did a flyer for one of my band's shows, and he used zip-a-tone on it, and I was like, dude, this guy is insane. Like, what is he? How did he do this? Let's see. This should be one of your pages, I think, that you picked. Pretty sure. Here it comes. All right. Oh yeah, this is the multi-panel one that you like.
Yeah, it's really just about the very center face shot, I think, of the, or it's a little off center because he does. How many panels is this? 16? What is it?
Panel page.
Huh?
16 panel page.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's the one right below Fury there.
Yeah, that's like so Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. He does a hell of a Fury too, man. One of the best Furies.
Yeah. He had good influences. Good.
Look at the eyes. So well done. The proportions of the eyes to nose to mouth is so tricky, and I always feel like I did the mouth too big or too small. And you look at this stuff, and it's the proportion of it is so good.
Yeah,
I'm sure real artists are looking. You know, Proko's looking at this, going, you know, like,
yeah,
he's like, isn't this cute?
Well, but you know, the thing is like the Proko draw a 16 panel page out of his head.
That's true. That's true. Look at that mouth on that girl, where she's doing that. You know, there's so much intensity, and I can't find the page. So much intensity in the face and the way the mouth is drawn and stuff, and that's such a great scene. In the I wish they had more of that scene in the from the book, because she gets it. It's such an awesome scene that Magneto is like, he wastes this woman. It's such an awesome scene. She's like, she had him kind of brainwashed a little bit.
Okay, and then let's see. We got 2 more video files, and then it's a wrap. Let's see. Let me.
Yeah, that was in the Savage Land sequence, or 275, which is that Eagle Award winner.
Okay, let me see. So we got this.
So good. Oh, hey, we got a super chat. King Crow, Steward of the Realm, $5. Thank you very much. Hail, Rich and Kelsey. Thank you for getting a great stream.
Yeah.
Your channel is great. Learning tool. Thank you so much, Rich.
No problem. We want everyone to do great things with their art, and we want to see awesome comic books. So that's why we do it.
I hope I didn't miss any super chats. I don't think I did.
It would be probably at the top, I think. If someone did a super chat and they're still here, let us know. Okay, so we got 2 more videos. This one's 2 minutes, and this is your.
It's a great way to get our attention, you know.
Yeah,
because it's hard to kind of go through the chat sometimes. Yeah. What? Oh, yeah.
This is your Kazar page.
I love this because the down angle, especially on Rogue, there, the hips, woman's hips and stuff, guys too. It's a very hard angle to draw and get right. And I don't know if this is right, but it definitely looks cool. So,
man, look at this male figure right here. It's so kick ass.
Yeah. And it's such an interesting shot to do for a double page spread, looking down on this scene.
Yeah.
It really creates a lot of depth. I love it.
And there's a pencil. So this is a 2-page spread, but I was trying to show.
Yeah, can you imagine that? I mean, well, you've done lots of these. I mean, I haven't done many like hand-done double pagers, so the scale of it is always kind of shocking.
A spread like this would take me 3 days generally to ink. Like you could do it in 2, but usually it'll spill over kind of into a 3rd day, just a tiny bit. What
about to pencil? You think he took a couple days also?
Well, Jim could probably draw it in a day, but you know, I would say if it was a day, probably 12 to 16 hours.
Yeah.
It would be a long day. I mean, you could definitely render stuff faster in pencil than you can in ink. I mean, I've actually said this to aspiring young pencilers, and I can base this on actual experience now. If you're learning to draw or you're drawing your first books, I would not recommend that you ink yourself. I think that it's a really big mistake. But I know that people are tempted to do it, but you would be much, much better off focusing on your pencils and getting someone else to ink you for at least a little while. But that's my opinion on it, based on it's just too much work, and you're going to sacrifice something probably to do it. Once you're further along, it's different. If you're only doing 1 book a year, then yeah, maybe ink yourself. But I think generally speaking, I would recommend against it, especially for newer pencilers.
Yeah, because it takes a while, and especially the value of having another set of eyes so we look at this stuff going, oh, how do you do this? Well, it's more than one person bringing time and knowledge to it, adding one extra level, and then the colorist adds another level to that. So it's this combination, this building upon. So it's definitely helpful.
Oh, I mean, look, without Scott Williams on this stuff, it would look very, very different. It's not we're not comparing to other inkers. My point is that like we're oohing and ahhing about the inks just as much as the drawings. The drawings get it there, but it's like they're both very integral into the fun of this stuff in particular, you know.
I just love it just looks like, some ticked off lines, when you kind of break it down, it's like, gosh, it's actually a very, very simple technique. It's just how to put these elements together in perfect proportion so that it looks right, just so fun. That hair on Rogue.
I know, so good. She is real cute in that
yeah.
So the one that we have next is the shadowy Wolverine face. I'm nearly sure is the next video, and then this is the last video that I think I have.
Oh, I think this is this the one that I was the undershot?
I think hopefully. If not, I apologize if I missed one. But let me see.
I almost think this is Jim and Silvestri doing like a face-off, because Silvestri does.
I hope I have the right page. I'm going to be bummed if it's not the one that you.
Oh, okay.
We'll see.
Story.
I was trying to go by memory of what you sent. Let me see. All right, so we'll see if this is it.
Yeah, I think this is it. The bottom of this. Yeah, this is one that Wills helped out on too, which you could really see.
Oh, is it? Okay, I was getting a Wills vibe from it. That's funny that you said that. I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, the third panel down is Jim said that's largely Wills and then him inking. over
Oh, okay.
Will's.
Interesting. Yeah, it had a little bit of a darker sort of vibe.
And Will's is so good at those lines. Those
I know. Those lines are crazy.
Yeah, Will started as an inker, so he inks a lot
Yeah,
of this stuff very well.
man, these faces are so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is all three of them again. You know, a little bit of Jim, a little bit of Wills, a little bit of Scott. And Scott's a great penciler in his own right too. In fact, that I heard this thing a long time ago that some of the best inkers are actually very good pencilers as well.
It can't hurt, That's for sure.
Well, because you're kind of solidifying the structure, so it's really good that you have an idea of what it is you're doing. This is a very Wills page panel. Yeah. The neck. This is so good.
Yeah, Will loves to draw anatomy. Like he'll sit and sketch anatomy on the backs of pages. His original art is always interesting to see because you always want to flip it over and see what's on the back. Always.
When his first few pages and ads were coming out for Wetworks, it was like, how do you do this? Look at that pout on her face. I love it.
Very Kevin Nolan again.
They make it look so easy, and she's got so much character.
Yeah, she looks very, very upset.
This shot right there. Now, yeah, okay. Let me tell this story. I think Jim and Silvestri were having a bit of a face-off here because there's a shot in Wolverine done about this very same time, where Silvestri and Dan inked. They had this shot of Wolverine getting his face slammed against the ground.
Right,
and it's the same shot, same kind of lighting, and Jim does it here, and it's like, I don't know who did it better, but they're both amazing, and it's so hard to do.
Healthy competition is a really, really good thing, and it makes everybody elevate their game. And it's when you got people out there kicking you in the ass a bit, it's not a negative thing. It's actually a good thing.
We got another super chat from Jasper Plan 9. Thank you very much. $9.99. Thank you. Here's a tip. I see Kelsey in a bunch of other chats and streams weekly. Thanks for the entertainment. Do better. Yeah, I watch a lot of videos and I try to comment on everybody if I can.
I do too,
because it helps the algorithm and all that business. And I like to get out there, mix it up.
Oh, and look at the inking underneath his head too is very, very cool.
Yeah, a little bit of dry brushing, and then you do that. This is something I noticed. It's funny because I've seen this stuff first, but I didn't notice this technique until I saw the Star Wars adaptation by Olivier Vatine and Frank Blanchard, and they would do this dry brush and then have a crack, and then the white of the crack. And I'm like, how do you do that? So I would meticulously stop at the edge. I didn't realize it was white out, or
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a very simple technique, but it creates so much depth.
I like that they broke the panel borders just a little tiny bit on that shot. It's an interesting choice.
Yeah, they added a little jig-jaggy here.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite panels. It's so cool looking.
Yeah. Oh, man, they've got to do a Wills book.
Yeah, God, that would be incredible. All that X Factor stuff.
Wills was inked by who on X Factor? Is it Scott Williams?
Scott. Yeah. And art. Yeah, right.
Okay, that's what I thought.
The only book that I think he inked himself on that Legion book.
Right. Those are great issues.
Very meticulous stuff. Yeah, I think. Yeah, this is. So
then I showed just a little bit of this page. Another
hair, page. Man, hair. I think reached its zenith when who's the guy that did Witchblade? I'm forgetting his name.
Michael Turner.
Michael Turner. It kind of stopped there. Everybody's like, you can't do better than this. So it's like I think we hit a zenith of hair.
Well, Travis has
that's true. Travis is the hair king, man.
Right. Well, I told Scott Williams not too long ago. I said, I shared a Wetworks piece that I had inked, and I said, man, I remember seeing the first issue of Wetworks or the preview of Wetworks and just being like,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, but that's the best art that I've ever seen.
Yeah, same. That Wetworks stuff kind of, and it was real sad, what ultimately happened with all that. But it's still seeing that stuff for the first time still created that like magic, like and I hope, and I'm pretty sure a lot of us are still trying to create that magic for readers. Based on our initial like reaction to this stuff, it's like, I want that same feeling to keep going.
Definitely. Well, look, so this page,
John Byrne.
Yeah, John Byrne signed it, but look over here on the right. You can see 275. So the page that you liked with the Wolverine on the ground and that we were just looking at before this, $275 it sold for.
Oh man.
that page is worth at least 10 or 12 grand now, if not more, easily.
Wow. Yeah, they're missing, huh?
Oh, the upper panel, like perfect amount of detail on these vehicles. It's all you need for an ambulance. I get it. That's an ambulance. Move on.
I would obsess over making it look like a real ambulance, but yeah, you don't really need it. But they're missing the page. There's a page right after that where you see the X jet flying over that van, and it's like the coolest shot. And the guys come jumping out of it to save Beast.
Oh, right.
And it's so freaking cool. It's not in the book. It's one of those ones where I was looking through it going, "Aw," and then the same thing with I think that might be the Omega Red issue, actually. There's a lot of the Omega Red issue that didn't make it.
I know. Well, again, I swear to God, as much as we showed, there's so much insanely killer stuff in the book that you're gonna be blown away. We probably didn't even look at 1/8 of the stuff, if even that.
Yeah, you don't want to do spoilers because for anybody that really wants this and gets it, you're just gonna. I'm sure I'm gonna be looking at this for years and years and years.
Oh, definitely. I gotta ask, is that a Kelsey doll on your table? It looks like
it is.
It is you? Hold it up. Let's see. It looks like
a very gracious Jack Show fan made this.
Oh my God. You almost have a little bit of a Planet of the Apes vibe.
It's made from a Dr. Zaius. So it's Kelsey Ape Man. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great.
It's perfect.
Well, that was really fun. What a cool, super fun Sunday.
That was excellent.
Showed up, and thank you for the super chats. We really appreciate it. And Jasper Plan 9, thank you so much. And King Crow Steward of the Realm, thank you also.
Hold on, I got to show one. They do have the Omega Red cover. Wait, where is it?
Other side,
right here. That is just, when I saw that I bought that issue from a 7-Eleven. Because I saw this is how great we used to have it. You used to be able to walk into a 7-Eleven and there'd be comics.
2 more chats. Jason Whitcomb says, "Thanks for this masterclass, guys. I wonder if Scott is 70% quilt, 30% brush or not. In any case, it's beautiful." Well, like I said, I'm hoping to have Scott on and we can talk to him about the book. And he loves Kelsey. Actually, he thinks Kelsey's an amazing artist.
I love you too.
He actually, when he found out that you were coloring the book, he had a very nice compliment towards you. So, but yeah, we would love to have Scott on and actually talk to him about it. I mean, he uses different tools now, but we want to find out about that. And like I said, I think Doombeer would be amazing to talk to about how he curates these books. The challenge.
He does an outstanding job. This is.
And
this is going to be his legacy, I think, is what he did to archive this stuff.
He's a modern day treasure hunter that actually like the museum is what we see. And then I want to thank Sheldon Martin too. Sheldon, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. He says, "Thank you for the stream, guys. I now have a raging art boner." I mean, I'm going to go draw. Yeah, draw. And look, the thing is influence and stuff like that. It's funny because I did a bunch of lessons and reviews this week for my Patreon, and it's definitely something that people struggle with early on, is their identity as an artist. I can assure you that naturally you will just end up drawing the way that you want. But anything good that you like, it'll eventually come out in your art. You don't need to force it. You don't need to overly concern yourself with it. What you do need to concern yourself with is being able to draw solid, being able to draw consistently, and to stick to drawing. And then all the other stuff will fall into place. Kelsey, right now, if Kelsey wanted to bring some new technique, oh, and T-Bear will come on for sure if he's bored. I would love to have Art on.
Gotta get all these guys.
But yeah, we do know these people. But Kelsey, like right now, if he wanted to bring a new technique into his work, he's so solid. Hey, David Williams is here.
Hey, David.
But it's easier for Kelsey to incorporate something new into his work because he's already mastered elements of his work, or gotten to a point where he's comfortable with them.
Oh, I started as an inker and did that for 5+ years or more, then moved into like coloring, did that for 15 years. Sure. I learned every discipline, so then it becomes like, well, what do I want to accomplish? Right. And then it's just putting it on paper and fine tuning it. But the how becomes less of an issue,
Right. Well, I used to worry about it a lot, because I knew that it would be a question that people would ask. And I was worried about being compared to other people that I had worked with. Oh, this reminds me of so-and-so, or the work you did with this person. And it was funny as yesterday when I was looking at some other stuff. Kelsey is a great colorist. It's so quick for me to pick out what I like or think would work in my vision now. It's like I can go, no, that's definitely not what I'm going for. That's not. Oh, okay, that actually is kind of cool. Yeah. That I maybe like to learn. So it limits the confusion. Wally Wood could do it all. He said, learn it all. There you go. You just have it just takes time, though. Don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah, because I was real eager to get into penciling, and I was missing a lot. I'm like, why can't I just draw? Because I wanted to learn as I go. And Stelfreeze used to tell me, he was like, no, use this time to get all your bad stuff out, right, where you start getting into the big show. And of course, I'm young and dumb and just want to jump into the big show. And then now your learning process is out there, in print forever, and it's just like, but. Yeah, so get a lot of those kinks out first.
Jasper said shows like this give Kelsey accountability.
Yeah.
Well, it was really funny. I was watching wasn't the Jack show, it was it was Dan Fraga, the Brotherhood of Artists, or the new show that they're doing.
Oh, I didn't know about this one.
What is it called? Bro School? They have a name for it, but it was Billy Tucci, Fraga, Ethan was on, and it was funny, but everybody was going like, where's Kelsey? Has Kelsey been around? Like, I'm in the chat going like, I'm like, he was on the show today, and Ethan knew, though. It was funny.
Oh, right. Yeah, it's like I've been around for like 2 weeks making videos and stuff, and everybody's like, where's Kelsey? I'm like, what the?
And then no one reads the chat. Everyone's chatting so fast they're not reading it. And I'm like, oh, he's alive. He's fine. He's here.
Yeah, most of the time I'm in the chat.
Right? I know. It was funny. I see inking a penciler similar to Quickenings in Highlander.
Yeah, it brings it up to a new level. Yeah. Yeah, I used to have a buddy of mine in my first little studio. He wanted to ink, but he was a better penciler, and I wanted to pencil, and I was a better inker. So we just stuck to our gifts, and he penciled and I inked, but we often dreamed of the other way. But we used to say that pencils lie and ink is truth, because you can do things and you're like, man, this looks really good, and then it's inked and you see some of those effects inked, and it's like, well, that doesn't look as good. Well, that's because pencils lie. You know, you won't know how it's going to work until you have the truth on there.
That is true. Jet black ink is incredibly unforgiving compared to a pencil drawing that's like kind of almost there.
Yeah. So I see how pencilers get very obsessive, because you do kind of want to see how it's going to look in the final. You know, is this going to work? And then let me just pencil all this in. And
So Mr. Wing had a pretty good statement. He said, make sure you trace, well, he says, make sure you trace your favorites. I traced John Byrne when I was little. Your figures are all about sexy shapes. You might know all the anatomy, but if your silhouettes aren't sexy, it doesn't work. Silhouettes are very, very important in art, or it looks static.
When I got into animation, that was one of the biggest lessons, is clean silhouettes. And that carries over into what we do big time, because you definitely want large expressive shapes, clear and easily readable figures, so you know what's happening. So yeah.
And Sid I should be able to pronounce this. Pernicious. He said that your section in working methods is still one of his favorites.
What is it? Oh yeah, that was fun. That's such a great. You have that?
Oh, I don't have it. I would. Is that a book?
Yeah, it's a bunch of us. The section I did was Chris Bruner. We all worked from the same script.
Oh, okay.
And Chris Bruner, and then me and Mark Schultz, Cadillacs and Dinosaurs guy. Can you believe it? All three of us worked on the same script to see how different our approaches were and the final result. And it's amazing how similar some things are and how radically different others are. That was a great one. Working Methods. I think you can still find that out there.
He said by John Lowe. That's interesting. I remember
John Lowe, teacher at SCAD.
He was a inker for a while, right? Wasn't he a professional comic book inker, John Lowe?
He might be.
Unless maybe it's just the same name. But John Lowe, he was an inker that he didn't work at Wildstorm, but he worked on people at Wildstorm. If it's the same,
John might be, because John knows everybody. Everybody knows John. Right. He's been teaching at SCAD, which is Savannah Art College of Art, School of Design, or whatever. And he teaches sequential art classes, and he put together that book and got a bunch of us in there. So great book.
You won't be on camera. So whenever I think of SCAD, there's two artists that come to mind immediately. Do you want to say the names for me? They're badasses.
Let me think. Gosh.
One starts with the letter D. D-A. Doug Alexander.
Oh, he went to SCAD? See, I didn't know that.
I'm really sure Doug Alexander went there. He's great, and so many people don't know him. And then Andrew Robinson, didn't he go there?
It seems logical. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure that both of those guys went there.
A lot of guys did. That's interesting. I didn't know that those two.
It's not logged. Yeah, there you go.
They're both Georgia guys. Or right. I don't know if they're originally from Georgia, but I know they're very Southern, and they probably did. But that's interesting. Yeah, I met Doug. Also did some layouts for me for one of the books that I never got published.
Really interesting.
His layouts are so good. He was doing a lot of experimentation at the time, so I took advantage of that. But
I guess Sean Murphy went there too. I didn't know that.
Oh wow, yeah, there's a lot of great alumni from that. That would be fun to do, like a SCAD episode where we look at the alumni that came out of SCAD.
It's funny. I'm nearly sure that this artist didn't go there, but it made me think of them because it's the time and place that I discovered his work. But Tom Coker, Tomm Coker. Oh, Tom is so good.
He's really good. He's on a whole other level where I'm like, I don't even know what you're doing anymore. I
know. His Gen 13 Max and Penthouse stuff that he did was so good. He did
that stuff was still like computable. Like I could still this is cool. And now it's like, you're directing movies now. I mean, you're like making.
He did. He did a like $1 million film for like Lionsgate. That was a horror movie they shot over in France.
Yeah, Catacombs.
Yeah. Look at you. You know too.
I follow all the comic book guy turned filmmakers because I wanted to be that guy until I completely fell in love with comics. I'm like, screw movies, man. Comics are where it's at, man.
Yeah.
Movies wouldn't even have ideas without comic books.
So Jasper asked, Richard, do you do live shows at the same time every week? So normally Super Fun Sunday is just a video that I upload. It's not a live stream, but Kelsey and I go live on Wednesdays at 10 in the morning, usually for about 2 hours. So that's the confirmed live show that I do.
10 East Coast. It's noon my time.
Oh yeah. 10 a.m. or what? 10 a.m. West Coast.
Or West Coast.
When I launch Blaster Kid, I'm going to be going live just about every single day and doing just like lots of events. I'm going to have all my friends on. We'll all hang out. We'll draw and just have a blast. And it'll be kind of like an open thing. If you watch Dan Fraga's campaign for Black Flag, he did like what was it called? What was the November thing he did called? Drawvember?
Yeah, because it was, Inktober and then Drawvember.
Yeah, something like that. It was really fun, though. I mean, I tuned in every night and would just watch it. And it was just fun to sort of spend time with all those people, even in the chat,
Just like a virtual studio, a virtual convention. We're all having fun doing drawing contests and gathering and people who have similar interests, and it's a lot of fun. It's the best way we can do it these days with on YouTube and
well, not even COVID, just in general. It's like I mean, this is what I said about crowdfunded books, and I really truly believe that is right now we're experiencing like a renaissance in comics that hasn't been experienced in 25 years. This is a new Image revolution, and the thing is what makes Image so great is, to me personally, it's a lot of the memories that I have of collecting the books. It's like you can look at a early version of some extreme book and kind of giggle at the art. Brigade wasn't drawn to the level of some virtuosic thing, but you so just remember, but you remember the time. You remember the time and the place and the energy of it. And there was, I remember, because that's when I started collecting comics. Marvel and DC didn't have the energy of Image Comics. Like, I would buy Marvel books, but it wasn't like, it didn't give me the rush of owning a new issue of Pitt.
Mm-hmm.
It was just different vibe. Like Savage Dragon we were talking about the other day.
Yeah. Savage Dragon couldn't happen today. I mean, could it? Like, I guess it can now, but I mean, for a minute there where there wasn't this possibility of just going direct to the people that want to buy the book and just like, if you want this, you make it happen. But I mean, that was such a special time. And we have this new special time where there's this reorganization, getting back to the nitty gritty, the hands-on, the fans, the people that make it. Let's do this together. Let's talk about what we enjoy about it, and let's make it happen. And we need to get back to that, the personal touch.
Right. Well, and the reality is too is and it's interesting because Joe Chito, as you know, because you're a fan of Joe's work, it's surprising how long Joe had worked in comics before the Image boom, right?
Oh yeah, God, he was around in the 70s.
Right.
I was showing you a piece that he did in a magazine in 1975, I think.
It was something crazy like that. So here's the interesting thing about Joe Chito is we have the same accountant, and my accountant told me a story about Joe one day when I was there with him, and he said when the Image boom hit, Joe had been waiting for that to happen for years, and he jumped on it like a wild tiger, and he rode that thing and colored every single book he could, and he was saving money, and he did all the right things that you would do during a boom like that. But the thing is the boom was gone. When I got to Wildstorm, sales were going way, way down, and so I've waited 25 years for an opportunity to do what those guys did.
Same thing here. When all this started happening, it's a shame that it's wrapped up in politics and cancel culture and all this stuff that makes what's happening seem one-sided, when in actuality this is a potential renaissance happening here that all comic book people should be getting behind.
Right.
And it shouldn't be divided into some political bullshit. This is something that we all need to jump on. We all need to make work, and we need to start the next evolution. Yeah. The problem that people have with vocal fans being that's not political. I've read letters columns for years where people were arguing and they hated this and hated that. This is what fan culture is. Vocal fan base. That means they like it. and they want it to be good, Get behind that. Please.
I always tell people, it's like, if you think comic fans are crazy, you should see the guitar forums.
Yeah.
Those guys, like, they're mad. They love Les Paul and Gibson, but they hate it at the same time. It's a conflict. Hey, you wouldn't happen to have that Joe Chito cover that you showed me? Can you pull that up really fast as like a grand finale?
I have a whole Joe Chito. What do you mean that
that really, really good like Tarzan cover that he did from like the 70s, the painted one? It was like kind of Frazetta-ish or the No Price.
Let me pull that up real quick.
Yeah,
I'm very, very passionate about this stuff that we need to come together here.
Wait till you. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I mean, BC Rich, nice. BC Rich make great guitars. I always was eyeballing as a younger person, I wanted the BC Rich. I think it was the Warlock, but a friend of mine had the Mockingbird. It was pretty cool. Slash played a Mockingbird, I think, early on.
Oh my god!
Oh, Guild are nice. Most of my guitars are Japanese-made Les Pauls and Strats, but I do have 2 Flying Vs, a King V and then a regular V.
Let me just look him up. I got so many files. Chito.
No, Gibson is too expensive. I buy all Japanese. Like vintage, like 80s stuff.
Here we go. Okay. Joe Chito. That was a painting. I got paintings and color guides. And art. I got it all separate.
It was a magazine cover for, I think, Epic, maybe, or something. Or
let's see. Here.
Yeah, this is crazy, though. I had no idea that Joe Chito was
Conan.
Was it Conan? Okay, Conan. So, let me know when I'll add it to the stream. Yeah, where do you see how good Joe Chito was in like 1975?
Well, this was, I don't know if this one was 75. Oh, no. No, it says February. Oh, it says number 73. I don't think this one was 75, but it's definitely back in the day. Here we go.
Stranko. I would have Stranko on.
Oh, Stranko's the man.
I got
a funny Stranko story, huh?
Does Stranko do live streams? I mean, I would have anyone on. Like I said, here we go. Look at this Joe Chito, please.
This is Joe Chito. He used to do the Alien Worlds covers. He used to do you wouldn't even know it was Chito. You'd pass this cover 100 times in the box going like, this is awesome. And then it's the same guy that colored all of the Gen 13 stuff, all of the Wildstorm stuff. I mean,
Twitter talks. Okay. So the thing is so my speculation would be Chito was probably about 18 to 20 years old when he did this, but this is like 15 years before Image Comics.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So when you were talking about how he was ready to jump on it, and just like you were ready to jump on this, I also had the same thing. When I saw this happening, I was like, I told myself years ago, I'm going to stick with it until the next wave.
Right.
These things go up and down. Yeah, so I'm going to stick with it. So when this started happening, I was like, I immediately jumped on it because I'm like, this is a chance to like have that renaissance, to do exciting things, get fans involved, and that excitement that I missed. I was part of the fan base. I'm like, I want to be a part of the next wave,
Well, my accountant told me that like 1997. This is like 23 years ago. That's how long I've remembered it.
Wow.
I know. So, all right. Well, that was really fun. Thank you guys, everyone, for Joe Chito is kind of a genius. He's a very quiet guy. It's interesting too. He's very chill, very relaxed.
I'm dying to own like as many of those color guides as I can get my hands on.
They're beautiful. People are collecting them. They're pretty actually like sought after.
I have all the scans, but it's just not the same. It's being able to examine it live.
Yeah. So Joe Chito used to be an office mate with Bill Sienkiewicz, believe it or not, back in like the 80s.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Sienkiewicz is a nut. I mean, not like in a good way. Like nut.
I remember Sienkiewicz. It might have been a story from Chito. How do you say his name? Chito?
I've always said Chito, but I don't know if.
I think there was a story where they would, maybe it was Stelfreeze, I don't know, but they would get together and just talk about color. Talk about how light works in color and all that stuff. And I'm like, that sounds cool.
Yeah, no, totally.
Those guys are masters at that stuff, lighting and color.
Well, look, here's the deal. First of all, thank you to everyone that showed up. Thank you to
Yeah.
anyone who watches this video later. We really actually appreciate it. Our passion for comics is 100% genuine. We only do this because we love comic books. Kelsey and I, anyone that's watched us for long enough knows that we're pretty salt of the earth guys.
I got no choice, man. Comics is my farming. I wake up in the morning and farm comics, until the wee hours of the night, and then I go to bed satisfied.
So now we have to be good professionals now. We need to plug what we're working on. So Kelsey, I'm reminding you, because we would have signed out without doing it. You should plug what you're working on, because you've got a couple of books that you're currently doing. So why don't you plug them?
Well, the Nexus book that I'm finishing, you can't currently get because the campaign is over. It was part of the Impossible Stars, but they're going to do a number 2 of that, and you're probably going to be able to get the first issue along with the second issue later. So look for that. I'll let you know. But I'm also working with Allegiance Arts and Entertainment, doing a book called Norris Saga, written by Blake Northcott. You can currently find the first 2 issues of that in Walmart, a Walmart near you. Yeah. Check allegiancearts.com for information on where that Walmart is near you, and you can get it. Number 3 should be coming out very soon, and I just finished up number 4 for 6 issues. And David Williams, who just popped in, is doing a book for about Bass Reeves, which is awesome. So please go look for that.
Let's have David on. I want to have David on. Yeah. He's an incredible artist that way more people should know his work. I really feel that way. David, if you're still here, you're going to come on the show soon.
He's an artist. He's amazing. He's one that we all look at in amazement,
He's like, well, he's his own artist first off, but like painting in broad strokes. It's like if you could somehow combine like the level of ability of Alex Ross with like Bruce Timm. He's like, he covers the whole gamut of,
he can do it all. He could do it all.
Yeah, exactly. And then for me, I'm working on Blaster Kid. I'm going to start sending Kelsey stuff this week. We're going to do some tests, style tests, because we're kind of doing something that's a little different that hasn't been done in comics as far as we know, like the way that we're planning it. So it should be badass, but we got to figure out like how to like so that I give him enough information and then he can do his thing and we don't like there's no unnecessary
stumbling. Yeah.
So anyway, but all right, I'm gonna watch this back. Actually, I'm gonna have lunch and then I'm gonna actually watch it back so I can soak it in.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat some lunch and like try not to get any on my book while I'm looking at it.
Right. And then I'm gonna draw this afternoon. I've got a small obligation around 6 tonight, but past that, Blaster Kid.
Yeah.
So, all right. You guys are partner. 7 says we're gonna be rich.
Yeah.
I just want, honestly, like the most exciting thing for me, Kelsey and I talked about this the other day. The experience of opening up a box of Blaster Kid comics might literally make me pass out.
I'm addicted to print. I mean, even though I talk a lot about web comics, the ultimate goal is still print. There's something about having something that came from a tree, from an artist's mind, from ink, from steel, from created and printed and sent all over the country, and then you got it in your hands. It's just it's magic. It's magic.
It is. And it's I don't, do you think that collecting just in general is it might be difficult for you to put yourself in the shoes of someone 20, but I can't imagine that the idea of collecting a few things is past someone that age. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
what do you mean, like collecting?
People go like, oh, like the younger generation, they don't cling to objects like we do. It can be on their phone and they're fine with that, or it can be on their iPad. That
may change. That may change. Like right now, a lot of people don't buy Blu-rays; they just stream it.
Right.
I'm from a generation that has a wall full of DVDs and Blu-rays.
Yeah.
I got boxes of comics, but they're inevitably like I'll go online to look up old X-Men instead of going to my box.
Right.
But there's something every once in a while I'll go grab a stack out of the boxes and sit down and just pour over them. And
I did it yesterday.
I think a lot of times my eyesight's getting bad, so it's getting hard to see that stuff.
Right.
I need a new pair of glasses. But
right.
But yeah, there's something about it. especially the older books, when you're flipping through it and you're getting to see the old ads and the old things that, and I don't know.
I was looking at J. Lee Namor yesterday and a little bit of the Wildcats trilogy to get into my dark mind.
God, what's interesting,
books, like the comics,
One final thought about kind of this stuff about how those comics looked and how this new paradigm might change that is that, like, the Namor stuff largely looked a lot of that because of time restraints in regards to a monthly comic book production. But it made that very unique and interesting and dynamic in its own way. And with this new way, there's a tendency to maybe spend longer, and then you end up with Hellshock, which is way more rendered, less exciting, and that, you know what I mean? So I think we have to kind of take some of those ideas that were meant to make things faster.
The restrictions,
they make it better and more exciting. Restrictions do help.
Look, I mean, we can end it on a Jim Lee, Scott Williams, R.T. Bear, Dan Green note, which is those guys had to produce stuff in a timely manner, whether that was 2 weeks or 6 weeks. That's a gun to your head that makes you, one, have to deliver, and two, have to deliver at a high level, because those guys, it's not like they just wanted to get it done. You don't want to embarrass yourself.
You're doing X-Men, for crying out loud.
So it's like you're trying to bring your A game at a quick pace, and there is something to be said for that. It's like bands that tour, when you play in front of an audience, especially now, it's like you need to bring it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be on point. It's not like,
audience knows. They knows when you're doing it, when you're not bringing your full game.
So, okay, we're going to sign out. Seven says necessity is the mother of invention. It truly is. So, okay, we're going to log out and say goodbye. So have a great day, everyone. Have a super fun Sunday. And we'll be back Wednesday with something. We don't know yet, probably. Do we know?
Maybe write some suggestions in the comments. Cool ideas you got that we can do.
Yeah, please do. Actually, that's a great idea. Bring a toilet, or bring it like a toilet.
Be sure to hit that like button for us.
Yeah, please. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.